Just let your soul glow. Just let it shine through. Just let your soul, baby, feeling oh so silky smooth. Just let it shine through. Just let your soul glow. Soul glow.
That means that we punched our ticket to go try to win a Super Bowl, and that's it. We got one game at a time, starting at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Love y'all, boys. Love you. Love you. I'll go to war with every single one of you, every fucking game, all right? Love you, 1-7. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Win.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking clout. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 It's showtime.
That they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Welcome to the Mafia Sports Report. I am Tommy. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I always forget to tell you, what up, Bills Mafia? Today's the day. We are getting the first press conference from our new head coach, Joe motherfucking Brady. Let's get to some of your guys' comments real quick. And that press conference is supposed to begin at 12 noon. So in about less than 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and get to some of the comments. Bob coming in. I may not agree with all your takes, but I do love the show. You and Mikey are fun to listen to. Thanks for always letting me state my opinion. Go Bills. And of course, man, look, I know me and Bob's been going back and forth in the comments section from the video that I posted, or my last live video I did about Joe Brady being named as the new Bills head coach. And yes, you know, look, man, everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? This is what makes America great, right? Right? This is what makes everything great, right? You're entitled to your opinion. And what I say on here, you know, I'm not trying to force it down anybody's throat. It is what it is, right? Like, but I got a podcast, right? I got a podcast for a reason. I do my homework. I'm a fan, just like obviously all of y'all are Bills Mafia, diehard Bills Mafia, or at least if you're on here, you should be. And I'm sure we get some other non-Bills fans on here that like to poke fun at the Buffalo Bills at times. But look, man, at the end of the day, when I state an opinion on here, trust me, guys, I'm doing my homework on my end, right? And I'm giving you a reason why I feel so strongly about my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. It does not mean I'm right. Look, I spoke to Mikey already. Mikey will not be here on this, live show. He may be on tomorrow, but he actually likes to hire. So, as you can see, I mean, it is what it is. People are going to have their opinion on life in general, right? And I explained this to Bob in the comment section because, the thing is sometimes people like to say, well, you're not in their chair, or you don't, if you're so knowledgeable, why don't you become a GM or a head coach if you could do better? Like, to me, I don't like that statement, right? Because you can have an opinion on food. It doesn't mean you need to be a chef in order to state that opinion, right? Hey, the pizza, tastes a little bland to me, or the sauce, I don't know about that sauce. Seems a little like there's nothing to it, and then of course, somebody could be like, well, then why don't you be a pizza maker if you know it all? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's my take, right? When someone comes at me and like, hey, why don't you, if you could do better, why don't you do it? Or if, that look, we all have opinions. I think every single one of us has stated an opinion in their lifetime, right? Many, in fact. So I don't take it the wrong way, Bob, when you don't agree with me at all. I just don't like, that part of the argument where, well, then you must be sitting in their chair in order to have that type of opinion. At the end of the day, look, I'm a diehard Bills fan. I'm going to have to, give this a chance, obviously, right? I'm not going to just walk away from the team because they hired somebody I didn't like. My God, they had Sean McDermott here for 9 seasons. I wanted him gone years ago. I still stuck with the team. Of course I did. I stuck with the team during the drought years. I stuck to the team during all Super Bowl losses, all 4. So I'm never going to walk away. I'm just stating my opinion. Just like we state opinions on draft picks, free agency, how players are performing during the season, positional coaches, you know what I mean? So, that's where I'm coming from. When I go on this channel and I state an opinion, I'm backing it up with stuff on why I feel so strongly about that opinion. Now, once again, you don't need to take that like the gospel. You can take it how you want to take it. Good day, Tommy. How you doing, Robert? But I just wanted to get that out of the way because I feel like sometimes people get a little bit confused there when they watch people and they don't agree with their opinion. You can disagree with people's opinions, but that doesn't mean, they have to, be in that position to make that opinion that they're making. You know what I mean? So, but we'll leave it at that. Tommy, in my opinion, look, see, Robert has an opinion. Tommy, in my opinion, I feel the Bills moved on from Sean to get a new defensive scheme. And that's Robert, that's a great point. And it's a very big possibility. And it seems like that's going to happen. I mean, I think one of the things that worried me the most when I did my initial live podcast yesterday when the Bills hired Joe Brady was that he was going to bring back a lot of old faces like Bobby Babbage, right? And we're going to, oh my God, we're stuck with the same kind of defensive scheme, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Bobby Babbage, I believe, got hired by the Packers. I could be wrong on that, but I believe he got hired by the Packers, but not as a DC. I think he's like an assistant defensive coordinator or something like that. Bob, it's too early to say the worst hire ever. I never said the worst hire ever, though. See, you know what I mean, Bob? Like, I never said that. I never said the worst hire ever. Listen, there's been plenty of bad hires here. And yes, you're right. Like, that's why I wouldn't say the worst hire, because I don't know that to be true because he hasn't coached a single day yet in the NFL, or at least head coach, right? So I can't say that, and I didn't say that. I said that I didn't like the hire. I said that if they were going to move on from Sean McDermott, they should have wiped house and started with a whole new coaching staff, a whole new vision. I didn't want anybody left over, to be honest with you. I didn't want to let anybody left over, right? And there was a lot of top candidates out there that I liked more than Joe Brady. I felt like Joe Brady was their ultimate safe pick. I also feel like Joe Brady was on their number one list the day they fired Sean McDermott. And I felt like, all these interviews, to be honest with you guys, these guys would have had to absolutely blow them away, I guess, in order for them to even have a shot at taking that opportunity from Joe Brady. And, I don't even know if it gave anybody a second interview. I could be wrong on that, but I don't recall seeing that. Maybe Dable got one, but I don't think he did. You know, and look, they interviewed Joe Brady once, and they made the hire in 6 days, right? Like, it's just, you know, they didn't even really matter of fact, they did interviews the day before. They didn't even sit on it. They just made the hire like this. More wasting Josh Allen. Yeah, I mean, let's hope not. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we got to be, you know, we got to try to stay somewhat positive, right? I believe this is on, so let's go ahead and put this on, guys. We got the press conference on right now. Let's go ahead and pop it up, man. Here we go, folks. Let me turn this up.
Meeting to kind of welcome Joe in there. But
let me turn down the volume over here on my end.
Media for being here today as well.
I hope you guys can hear it.
And his family.
Seems very low, but it's as loud as I can put it.
Terrence Gray, Brian Gain, and Josh Allen for the extensive work, time, and energy that we all put in last week when we started
Chat, can you hear it?
To where we ended up with Joe. I'd also personally like to thank the other 8 candidates. This process was long, but it was informative. Learned a lot about how other people do things, how other teams do business.
Son of a bitch.
And took a lot of notes along the way. There was a lot of brilliant football minds.
Sounds good? Okay, good. We're good to go, guys. So let's hear it out.
Including a 44-year-old quarterback that just came back and finished. That was a good one. But when we started this process, we were looking for a CEO type of head coach.
Oh boy.
So you may say, okay, what do you mean by a CEO? And what I'm talking about is a fresh new vision for the Buffalo Bills. Somebody who values strong culture, collaboration, and alignment. We wanted a highly intelligent, aggressive, and excellent communicator. We wanted alignment. Joe Brady is all of that and more. We all know Joe. Joe is a brilliant offensive mind. He's led, the 2 years that he had the full helm as our offensive coordinator, top 5 offenses. He led the offense that produced an MVP quarterback a year ago. This past season, the NFL rushing champ. Joe's offenses know how to attack in many different ways. And we all know that about Joe. But what I and our team learned through this process was Joe's vision for how he would run an entire football team. And specifically, his thoughts on how our defense would play under Joe if he was given this job. He wants a defense that attacks opposing quarterbacks and play callers pre-snap and post-snap. A defense that dictates to the offense. And what I also learned about Joe through this process was his love for Buffalo, his love for our community and the entire Bills Mafia. Joe is the perfect fit for our team right now. I am fired up to announce the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Joe Brady.
What's up, my guys?
Let's hope he's not Mike McDaniels here.
Try not to get emotional already. I didn't do well in the staff room. Thank you. I want to first start with gratitude. I hope I'm loud enough. Someone will tell me in the back if I'm not. I want to first start by thanking Mr. Bagula and the Bagula family. Your commitment to this franchise, to this community, and winning is evident in everything you do. When this opportunity came along, I didn't want to just be a head football coach. I wanted to be the head football coach of the Buffalo Bills, doing it with the right people, under the right direction, with the right alignment. Thank you for the trust you've placed in me and the responsibility to lead with you. I don't know where she is, but I want to thank my wife, Lauren. She's right in front. I thought she was going to be with the little baby. She's right in front. I said hi to the guys, didn't even say hi to her. God, Off to a good start. I definitely can't look at you now. This job demands sacrifice, right? I'm calling you on the way to a game while you're going into labor, right? And I find out after a game that you go through, you give birth by yourself. This game takes away time and energy and presence from you. And you've carried the weight that comes with this job so that I can pursue my calling. Your strength, your belief, and your steadiness is the foundation that allows me to do what I do. And you believed in me long before this moment ever arrived. I am nothing without you, and I will not get anywhere ever in life without you. I didn't cry, so that's not going to go well.
Come on, Joe. I get it. It's emotional, but you're the head coach. Come on now. Let's get through this.
To my parents, Joe and Jody, and my sister JC, that are hopefully being babysitters somewhere in the back. Thank you for the foundation you guys gave me long before football, right? You taught me how to work, how to compete, how to take accountability, how to protect, how to treat others, how to stay grounded. Everything I stand for as a coach started at home. I love you guys. I want to thank Brandon Bean. So much respect for this interview process, and how you handled it, not starting from the beginning, starting it and treating it. I've been
Uh-oh. Hold on, guys. I don't know what happened there. Give me a minute. I lost it. That's on me. Hold on. That's on me. I actually found a I found a better
Sean Payton opportunity to call plays with Ed Orgeron, Matt Rule, and coach quarterbacks and call plays for Sean McDermott.
Better guys.
I want to thank and recognize Sean McDermott. In 2022, 4 years ago,
A little bit louder.
Coach McDermott gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. I had an opportunity to come here, coach for the Buffalo Bills, and coach Josh Allen. I took immense pride in that. Over the past 4 years, I've learned a tremendous amount of things from Coach McDermott. How to lead, resilience, standards. The past 9 years in this organization matter. I'm understanding of that. I'm appreciative of the opportunity to be a part of it. They matter deeply and they deserve respect. I'm so grateful for Coach McDermott. I love Coach McDermott. And I'm going to do everything I can to continue to build upon the things that he laid and the foundation he laid.
Guy's going to have to go to the bathroom soon.
At the same time, we got to move forward. Right. And I think it starts with a new energy, a new mentality, and a new vision.
Fuck Sean McDermott. That's what he said.
A new energy that I got to drive every single day. One thing that the guys know about me, and it might be from espresso, it might be from Gatorade Fast Twitches, but I'm going to bring the energy every single day. And I believe people are going to feed off of that. I truly believe in being the temperature, right? I'm the weather, and they're going to feel it every single day.
Yeah.
A mentality. I believe in everything about these guys right here, right? And the mentality as we go forward, that it is a nameless, faceless opponent that we're going against. And they got to play us and not the other way around. And I mean that with everything. They got to play the Buffalo Bills. They got to play Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, not the other way around. And it does not matter the day of the week, the time of the day. Is it outside? Is it inside? What's the weather? Just put the damn ball down. Let's go play. All right, that's going to be the mentality that we play with. That's Buffalo. And then a vision. I believe in communication, connection, accountability, and love. I said this to the staff. Quiet teams don't win. Quiet teams do not win. All right. And I'm going to everything in my power to have that communication line open in everything that I do. I believe
neither does a million screen passes a game. All right. Oh, whoa.
And then
hey,
love.
Sorry.
Connected teams win. Connected teams win. If you love the man next to you and you care more about his success than your own, that's when you're going to win football games.
Not running at 90% for runs on first down.
I understand that I'm walking into this role in a much better position than Coach McDermott did. I'm not naive to that. I also understand that the expectations are higher as well. I didn't take this job to shy away from expectations.
Oh.
I sure as hell did not do that. I'm embracing it. I'm understanding it. And I'm meeting it full on. I know what I signed up for, and we're going to embrace it because no one rises to low expectations. I want what this city wants. I want what Mr. Pegula deserves.
How about what the fans deserve?
Buffalo.
Fuck Pegula. How about Bills Mafia, Joe Brady? Fuck Pegula. Oh, no offense.
Buffalo isn't just where I work. And this is a kid from South Florida.
Shit about what
Buffalo is
Pegula
not
wants.
just where I work. It's where my life changed. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than right here, right now.
Oh,
mean
don't
that
be
my whole
stealing
heart, my
Marv
family.
Levy's. We're
My
stealing
wife
Marv
and I got
Levy's
married while
quote.
we've been living here. We didn't even take a honeymoon right away so that we can spend our first summer here in Buffalo and experience in Buffalo. Both of my kids were born in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And they're
Said
going to be
Pegula.
raised their entire life to have so much pride in being able to say that they're from Buffalo. This city and this organization puts so much life into me professionally, and I don't take that lightly. I want to make the city proud every day, and I understand the pride, and I want to do everything I can to earn wearing this logo. The pride and passion of the Buffalo Bills is second to none. Bills Mafia. I feel it. I felt it. There's no other place that when you travel, there's unwritten rules that you have to wear Bills logos.
Nope.
And you go on an airplane and you swear that we're playing a home game the next day because it's completely full of Bills fans. And the power that no matter where you are in the country, you can be in Italy, you can be in California, you can be across the world, that power that as you walk by someone and they're wearing a Bills logo and the powerful words, I'm not saying much, but just saying go Bills. I believe in the Bills Mafia. I have so much power and respect for it. I have so much respect for it. And I want to do everything I can to continue earning their respect and putting something on the field that they are proud of. Lastly, our players, my guys. Ooh.
Oh, man, Joe. Man.
I'm so appreciative of you guys being here today. Thank you for
Okay.
allowing me to be myself.
Got some players
Playing
there.
for
I didn't
me
even see.
and being you
All
with us. I may be calling plays still, but I'm no longer the offensive coordinator, Max. Right? The defensive and special teams guys one day. I can't wait to grow our relationship, right? And deepen it and understand who you are and that team need to grow that. And I can't wait to go out to practice, right? And when you get a takeaway, be able to celebrate with you, just like I was talking a lot to you. I get to get after Spencer Brown the same way, and I'm in it with you guys now, right? I can't wait to do that. I have so much confidence in the guys here. I have so much confidence in the rosters and so much confidence in the men right here. Everything we will do will be centered around you having success and making sure that we're putting you in the best positions to have success. I tell my players all the time, I'm so grateful to get to do what I do, but I'm more grateful to get to who I get to do it with. Everything I am is because of you guys. And I'm going to work all I have to think about is making sure that you guys are successful. It is not about me. It is always about you guys. And lastly, I talked about love. Josh always says it. If you love someone, let them know. I love you guys. I'm going to leave that with Go Bills. Thank you.
Yeah. You know what? It wasn't a terrible opening statement. I'll give him that. But a lot of coaches, mostly new hires have very good opening statements. It's kind of the same. So let's hear the questions.
Joe,
It's going to be
congratulations,
good.
first of
Or
all.
it should be good, hopefully.
Tell us first about, we see you've lost some coaches on this staff already. How far along are you in the process of replacing these coaches, specifically offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator?
Yeah, look, what's important to me is not just being in such a rush to put together a staff, but putting together a staff of the right people and surrounding them with different personalities, different ideas, different viewpoints. I don't want a lot of guys that just think like me. And it's important that every person that we put together on the staff, you then sit there and reevaluate what else do we need with that. And so I'm in the process of doing it with Bean. And I'm excited about the staff that we're going to put together for our players.
We lost our corners
Right here,
coach,
Joe.
by the way, to Miami
John Wall.
this morning. Just a heads up.
Congrats.
Thank you.
You mentioned it during your
It's fine.
speech, but you understand the challenges and the pressures that come with this job and what you're stepping into. What are the challenges that you face of carrying over the sustained success and the culture that Sean brought in, and how do you go about carrying that over as you being the head coach?
Yeah, well, the culture starts with them. When you watch a guy that's playing with 17 sets the tone of the culture, right? The men in the locker room set the culture, regardless of who the head coach is. And it's my job to making sure that I'm allowing them to be their personality, allowing them to play to their personality, because that's what the culture is. Like I said, I understand the expectations that come with this job, but it's important that we understand that this is going to be a new year and we have to start over. We don't just get to pick up where we left off and think that, hey, we're in the position that, hey, next week we're going to be in the conference championship game. And there's going to be a lot of work. And I believe Mr. Bagul always says we're going to work tirelessly with it. We're going to have the competitive stamina to start over. But I'm excited about the direction that we have and the people that we have, and I believe in that.
I guess. Brandon, when did you know that
There
Joe
you
is your
go.
guy?
Yeah, it's funny. We interviewed Joe first, and these
Of
were
course.
long interviews. You know, some teams that started earlier in the process kind of Zoom some people for an hour, maybe hour 15 is a lot of those. And then you hear about the second interview. We knew that we needed to kind of pare this field down best you could. I mean, nine people is still a lot. But at the same time, you want to be thorough with the process. And so we kind of went through, after each person went, we debriefed as a group and took notes and made sure to hear each other, like what, because sometimes I may miss something. Oh, that's what he was saying there. And so I would say when we got done with the last candidate, which ended up at about 10 o'clock one night, we stayed in there for another 2 hours, talked a little bit, and Joe was standing out. There were, 2 or 3 that were standing out. And we said, you know what, let's go to bed. We're tired. We came back the next day and we talked some more. And we said, you know what, we did Joe. So Joe was starting to rise here as the guy, but we also know we know Joe. And honestly, I almost think Joe had a tough hill to climb. As I was telling the staff earlier, when we started this process, I made sure, and you can ask anyone that was in the interview, Terry, Pete, Josh, anybody, Laura, that the best process is not to look at Joe Brady as someone in our building, because we know the good, the bad. It's like living with someone, right? These other people, we don't know every single thing about them. And so we need to pretend, I think I said like that Joe's been coaching for the Green Bay Packers or something. And so I made Joe go through, we never met him before. And there were some other candidates that we knew. I know we know you, start from scratch, because I may know something that Terry doesn't know, or that Pete
Basically,
or Brian
it's
Gaines.
a safe selection.
So
Let's
it's
be
a long
real,
answer
guys.
for you, Matt. But I did not want to rush this process, and I wanted to be fair to every candidate. And so we got Joe back on a Zoom call, and I called him, hey, bud, we need more here. And so we wrote down the questions that we still had for Joe. And about halfway through that process, I was like, that's our guy. But I still had to let Terry finish some questions too. Because I want to make sure he was on board and the approval. And Terry, didn't even reach back over to me. He's like, I think you're the next head coach. I was like, Terry, I got to talk to his agent. Like, we got to get, but it was a great process. It was a thorough process. And as I said in my opening statements, I took so many notes. I've already shared some with Joe,
but
Safe meaning
it's great to peel back the onion of how
he didn't want any
teams and how
pushback
some of
from
these
a new head
some
coach. You get what I'm saying?
Smart people.
I'll explain after
And,
Josh Allen.
I mean, you're always trying to learn. I learned way more than I knew I would learn stuff, but I learned way more than I ever thought I would, that I was missing. And so we'll take those as advantages, and we'll talk about what we heard, what we like, and try and create this new vision for the, the next iteration of the Buffalo Bills.
Joe, what needs to change and how will you do it?
Yeah, I'm in the process of sorting through without getting into all the details. Like there's a lot of things that, like I talked about, is I want to make sure that we continue to kind of own in on right now is the energy, the mentality, and our vision moving forward. I'm not necessarily focused on changing things as opposed to where do we need to go from here and just moving forward with that
Exactly,
direction.
Randy.
That would have been a pretty short interview, though, if you didn't have ideas about what you want to implement. Can you share what you told during the interview process, what you want to do with this team?
Yeah, I think, look, through the interview process, like I said, it was an extremely intense interview. And look, Josh Allen was stoic in it. Like I made sure I didn't talk to him for a week, which was, I'm at edge, but he was making sure that he was removed from it. And everybody in that room, I was appreciative of the professionalism, right? The premise of the interview was making sure that I was able to kind of talk about, not use it as a, hey, these are things that I would change. It's more of, this is what I would do as a head coach, and this is the vision that I'm looking to do here. I think a lot of times we think that, hey, when you take over a place, you just have to change a lot. Sometimes it's just fine tuning some things. But without getting into the details of the privacy of some of our conversations, I really want to make sure that our mentality, all right, and the vision that we're going to with the connection and the love and the communication is at the forefront.
Joe Brady, Mookie Hawkins, congratulations, man.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Nicholas City Mafia. It's my boy Mike.
You might. Hopefully, you don't have to see it in a while.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But how do you plan to support Josh Allen's growth as a leader and a playmaker? And what changes can you expect when what's most important to you when building a coaching staff?
Yeah, like every decision this organization makes, it's with the thought of Josh Allen and the players in mind.
Thank you, Chris.
Right? I'd be crazy not to. I was a part of incredible organizations in New Orleans surrounding around Drew Brees, and there wasn't a decision that was made without Drew Brees being thought about, talked about, and making sure you understood it. Doesn't mean it was always the decision, but it was important that he was involved in it because he is the leader of this organization, and the weight that he has on his shoulders is something that I can't even imagine. Everything I think about is trying to find ways to put him in a position to have success, because that's all I care about with him. Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL, and I have to grow, right? And part of me growing is that's going to allow him to be a better version of himself. And I'm so excited to be able to continue this journey with him. I have so much love for that man right there.
No
all
bones.
I want is him to get everything that he deserves.
We actually did a poll.
That's all
Udinsky was number one by far. Dable was
John Anderson, congratulations.
Dable was 2, Kubiak was 3,
Tim had kind of
Webb was 4, and I think last was
for you
Brady. Or Brady wasn't even on the
poll. Do you feel that management
nobody wanted Brady?
This is our guy. That they were going to tell the players, this is our guy. That the fans are going to say, this is our guy. At what moment did it hit you that this is my job and I can do this?
Well, I knew it was going to be I had the mindset it was going to be my job. But that was just because how I went into it. Even when Terry offered me the job, I still thought he was asking me a question that, hey, so is this how I want to answer it? And so full transparency, I couldn't sleep for the last week.
Point, by the way.
This is the job.
By the way,
wanted.
all your
and
super chats.
When you interview first.
I'm going to hit with a train horn as soon as the
like, hey, I hope
this
I
press
can get
conference
another
is over.
I hope I get another
and
opportunity.
I'll get to all the chats that I missed,
like I said, this is where I wanted to be.
Thank you so much,
but
by the way,
there was never
for
a
the
moment
super chat.
where I walked away was like, hey, this is my job. I thought, they obviously did an incredible job making sure that they're doing it the right way. And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I had an opportunity to talk to Josh the other day, and I'm sorry, but he let me know. He's like, I didn't help you get this job. You got this job. And that meant so much to me. And, so there was never a moment, like I said, even after Mr. Bagula, I was still making sure I heard it correctly. But I was sweating it out the entire time.
Brandon, last week it was seeming clear that the roster was felt to be strong enough, but maybe coaching is the reason that this team hasn't reached the Super Bowl. Why then was a choice who's been part of this coaching staff the right one to be the next head coach?
A good question.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it wasn't like there was a finger pointed at coaching. So I would disagree with that, John. This is a collective thing. We do this together. We all collaborate. And hopefully I was clear that, Sean McDermott being dismissed or a change with coaching, I feel guilt for that as well. There's things that I could do and that, Joe and I will work together to make sure that we get corrected to get this thing over the top.
He also has more. He also did,
as I was saying earlier,
more for Lawrence and that offense.
I'm going to step back to myself.
And once again, a fresh start.
In Carolina.
I didn't want anything to do with
intern,
anybody
grew my way up.
McDermott's coaching staff.
And
also, I would have liked Dable back.
Still
over
have a problem.
Brady.
They view you as
I'll
what
explain
you
everything
were
to you, no bones, after
versus
why I
what
don't
you
like the
can
Brady.
be.
I just want to get through this conference, and
if you're
we'll
in
go through
Joe's
everything.
seat as the offensive coordinator, I'm only having conversations with Joe about the offense or his players or things like that. It's not a holistic view of how we talk about sports science or how we practice. That's not his area. That was Coach McDermott's area. That will now be his area. So when we went into this process, that's why I thought it was very important to hear everything about. We didn't need to spend long
once again
talking about his offense. We know what that is.
Maybe not.
It was really talking about everything else.
We'll talk about it.
And we went down to what we're going to do on a Monday after we win a game. What's the coaches going to do? What are the players going to do? What are we going to do on a Tuesday? I mean, we spent probably 25 minutes, 30 minutes with each candidate just going through every single detail of what this operation is going to be from right now through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, training camp, how we're opening camp. We're going to be away. I told every candidate we go away. That's what we do. So I want to hear how that works for you all the way down to the daily practice. When are we eating lunch? Like, when are these guys eating? I think that was one of Josh's questions. But, and I'll say this, like, to the point on I know people were opining on whether the quarterback should be in there or not.
Quickly, huh?
That's one of those ones that he wasn't
Everybody
in there.
was
People
concerned
be like,
about it.
why are you not, the guy's the MVP.
I told you.
Here. To me, it was his role in there was, if there's anything we left out schematically, something he's got a question, like, we're not as deep into X's and O's as those guys are. And also, I told Josh at the beginning, like, if there's someone you don't feel you mesh with, or that our players is kind of a voice for the locker room, that would be silly for us to select that. But when we had this last, like, Josh went and had his foot fixed, he was not able to, finish, but we didn't even have him in the process where we were discussing pros and cons of each candidate. He was just there to kind of hear and speak up when spoken to. But again, I think ultimately we never viewed Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. Just like when Brian Daboll was here, we obviously know Dave's. We didn't view him as that. We viewed him as coming from somewhere else.
Hey, Joe, Andy Young from Spectrum News. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What is your approach to defensive football, and what type of qualities and style are you looking for in a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, look, the privilege that I've had of calling plays, you understand what keeps you up at night. When you're calling plays, I feel like defensive football for so many years was just putting stress on quarterbacks. You get to the line of scrimmage and they're putting stress on quarterbacks pre-snap, post-snap. And nowadays the type of, the best defenses and the best minds are continuous all the way through the play call, putting stress on coordinators. And it's not, you no longer are you able to just know where guys are going to be, when they're going to be there. And I think that that's, a key element of what I'm looking for on a defense is making sure that we have the versatility to be able to change personnel.
That is true, by the way.
Get a lot of different people in different spots, similar to what we do offensively.
Not
I don't
too
believe
much,
offensive football and defensive football should have different mindsets, but we can understand as we approach a game plan that there's a way to win every game. And as long as we have versatility and different type of pieces, that we can find that way to win, to put stress on both the offense and the defense.
Hey, Joe, Mike Catalano, congratulations.
He knows nothing about defense.
With all
He
the
better get a
success
good
you've
DC.
had with the offense, Terry talked about the team hitting a wall in the playoffs. And you
like
and the
McDermott.
offense have
He
been
knows
part of
nothing
that
about offense,
with
so.
opportunities in the playoff games at the end, maybe to tie or to take the lead.
Better get a
What
good DC.
responsibility do you feel for that? And what do you feel needs to change when we talk about getting over the top offensively in those key moments?
Yeah, I'm just as responsible, right? That last football game, there was 5 turnovers. Those 5 turnovers are on me. Right, I'm understanding of that, and the accountability that I think for you guys that have been a part of the press conferences, like when our guys play well, it's because of them, and when they don't, it's because of me. And we address things obviously, you know, in the meeting rooms, but the accountability, it is always going to start and end with me, especially in these settings. And so I take full responsibility for having the ball in the game on the line, and we didn't get it done. Right. And that's what I continue to strive every single. It's like, hey, we get that opportunity again. What am I going to do differently? And that's part of the growth. I think the biggest thing is as we continue to progress year in and year out, is we don't just sit there and just not evaluate our systems and not find ways to grow. Our offense, our defense, our special teams should never look the same year to year. It has to grow. It has to evolve. Players change. The game changes. And I think that that's the most important thing, or else we're going to continue to get the exact same results.
But see, that's my problem with Joe Brady, guys.
Joe,
and I'll explain
Brandon,
it after.
Joe, congratulations. Sal Capaccio here.
That's my worry.
You have often talked, this is a question for both of you. Brandon, you've mentioned alignment.
I'll talk about it later, guys.
How does that look to both of you? What does it mean, alignment and collaboration, when it comes to personnel, selecting players on the roster? How does that look to both of you going forward?
Absolutely. Great comment, by the way.
Alignment doesn't mean agreeing and everything. Alignment to me means we're both open conversation and communication and understanding that we don't have to be yes men, but when we make a decision, when that door opens, there's no going backwards and there's no second guessing, and we're going all out with it. To me, that's alignment. Alignment is a shared vision for what we want, and making sure that we don't ever lose sight of that when we make decisions. Like when I say, hey, Josh Allen and the guys are always at the forefront of exactly
I'm not
when we
thrilled
make every
about the hire.
decision. That's alignment.
We'll talk
Making
after the
sure
press conference.
as we evaluate and as we continue
Stick
to
with
go,
me, guys.
we're going to make decisions. We don't lose sight of that. That to me is
Stick
alignment.
with me after this. We'll
Yeah,
talk
I mean,
after the presser.
Without repeating, I think he nailed it. You know, just you're collaborating. It's not like, hey, I'm going to go over here with my scouts and my personnel staff and we're going to tell you who you got, or we're going to hand you the players. Like, it's first off, when he gets this new staff in here, what are we changing? What are we tweaking? What, you know, if it's something, hey, we want this type of defense, we want to be able to do this in certain situations. You know, these players all fit that, but this player might not fit as well, and we need to look for that. So once we get those coordinators in, and especially on the defense, you know, because I kind of got a pretty good vision of Joe's offense, but defensively, like, bring that coordinator in, bring those position coaches in, and go through the position specifics and how they want to do the things that Joe was talking about, how we want to attack. And that's collaborating in a shared vision. And listen, if there's something that Joe doesn't think makes sense, he's going to speak up. If there's something that I don't think makes sense, I'm going to speak up. But we're going to collaborate on every part of it. And then, you know, what we do as scouts and personnel and our guys do it for me. They help narrow down a large field, like let's just talk about free agency, down to a smaller field. I'm going to review that, look at them, make sure. I may say, hey, guys, you left somebody out, or why is this guy in? And then, because Joe's got then I'm going to go to Joe and his coordinators and say, hey, take a look at these guys. This is, you know, let me know how you see them. This is how we see them. And if we agree, that's great. That's easy. We know we can pursue them. If we don't agree, we may sit in a room and say, tell me what you see from your lens as a coach, but also hear what I see from a personnel eyes, because we don't get into schemes. A lot of times coaches can look at schemes. We're just like looking at his body type. He's got long arms. He can jump high, like all those things. And sometimes we may miss something. Hey, this guy's got some instinctual things that I'm worried about, you know, that can come up. So I'm getting granular, but I hope you understand it's everything in the process. Hey, when we get to talk about training camp, which I mentioned, like, how do we want to practice at camp? How do we want to get with our sports science people and make sure we're building the right team that's fast, physical, calloused, yet healthy? And so that's alignment, that's collaboration, shared vision.
Hey, Joe, Thad Brown, congratulations.
Thank you.
For the last couple of years, you've been coordinating offense.
That's Brandon
someone
Bean.
else's
That's our
team.
GM,
What
president of
changes
football
now that you're
operations.
going to run an
now.
offense for your own team?
I think the biggest thing is understanding that when you're the play caller, your understanding of, as an offensive play caller, everything you're going through is thinking situational football.
And president of football
You're having the
operations
mindset
as well.
of,
He
hey,
got
I'm calling this
promoted.
play. This is what's happening next. I'm sure you're trying to stay ahead of it all. When you're an offensive play caller for a head coach, you have to be mindful of those things, because you're not in full control of handling all of those situations, right? And that's where a collaborative approach is extremely important, from an offensive coordinator that's calling a play calls with a head coach. But from my perspective, like, look, I was around Sean Payton. I'm from the Sean Payton tree. His aggressiveness, his mindset, and there's so many elements that I believe that we can continue to grow our offense, with the pieces that we have, and I look forward to that.
Quickly, it's been reported that you plan to call plays as the head coach. Is that the plan?
Yes, sir.
I hate it.
Thank you.
Hate it.
That was a good segue, because that right over here. So Brandon, I know last
Absolutely
week
hate
you
it,
talked
guys.
about how
bad
the
decision
CEO nature
by
of the head coach
Joe Brady.
position, it can tend to stretch you thin in a lot of different ways. So
Puts a
the
lot of
decision
pressure
to
on him
call
year
plays,
one.
Joe, for you,
Don't like it. Even Sean McDermott
what went
didn't
into
call
that,
plays
knowing
right
all
away.
the other responsibilities heading
Took him a
into
while
the head
to
coaching
even
position, and then for
do
Brandon,
that.
what made you feel confident
To
in
juggle both?
Joe that
Don't
he's
like
able
it.
to do all of those things, including calling the plays?
There, good question.
look,
Basically what I said.
I've never been a head
What
coach before,
concerns?
right? I'm understanding of that. The only way to get head coaching experience is to be a head coach. But I think the most important thing is surrounding yourself with people that you can trust and you can lean on as you grow through it. There's going to be elements, and I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to be perfect, right? But I'm going to do everything I can to continue to grow through that. There's going to be a lot of conversation about figuring all that out. But like I said, as you're
Shouldn't be doing it.
every element that you're doing is situational, is game management. You literally don't call a play without already thinking about what it's going to look like next, what the situation or what the defense is going to look like, and you have to have multiple
Frustrating,
things in
guys. I
mind.
don't like it.
But I think the biggest thing is making sure that I'm surrounding myself
Sean Payton tree,
with
get
the
the
right
fuck outta here.
people that, hey, I can't be
Didn't
in the
McDermott
offensive room
come
on
from
every
the
single second. I'm not the offensive
Andy
head coach. I'm the
Reid
head coach.
tree?
And I'm understanding of that. And it's
How'd
important
that
that the
work
defensive
out?
guys know me, and then I'm able to speak the defensive language, and I can communicate with the defensive coaches and the special teams coaches. That's important to me. So it's important when I put together the staff that I put together guys that understand the vision that I'm looking for with different ideas and putting it together so that I don't live and do everything like I did as offensive coordinator, because I'm not the offensive coordinator anymore.
Yeah,
Joe.
Basically, yes, you
segue
are.
off
It's your
that, I
offense.
think that
You're
was
calling
part of the
plays,
process
so
of making
stop.
sure that we didn't view Joe as just the OC, but his staff, which he's mentioned, and his plan for surrounding himself with people, and obviously he's got relationships. He's mentioned Coach Payton and other guys that have done this, and so anytime you hire,
that
and
tree
we
isn't much
interviewed
better either.
some people that had a head coaching job and some that had not, but
those have been
anytime
flops
you
as well.
hire someone for the first time and they're doing this,
Except for I don't
there's
even
a
think
little bit of
Vrabel
an
was on
unknown.
that staff. He was just
But
a player. So
I believe his plan, his vision, and our
most of
communication,
Belichick's
I
tree
think we'll
was
be able to
was
support
terrible.
him where
They
he
got
needs
their
it,
opportunity.
which he will. And he said he's going to learn along the way. I would think if you sit down 12 months from now, Joe's going to say, "Man, that was wild. I learned a lot, and I'm going to be even more prepared, for season 2."
Hi, Joe. You mentioned all the great coaches you've learned under. Over time, how did you build a vision for how you wanted a football team to operate?
I think in all the places that you go, you're consistently learning, taking notes, not necessarily from the coaches you're working on, but teams that you're going against, the way that the football evolves. But the biggest thing that I learned all the way is that if I'm not myself, it's not going to work. If I try to just, pick up, this is what Coach Payton did and take it somewhere else, that's not going to work. I think that that's important, that I have to be me. And I think the great coaches that I've been around have been comfortable in who they are. Like you guys, as you guys know, I do curse. I stutter on some words. Like, I am me, and I'm comfortable in that.
Don't be
and I think
cursing,
my guys
Joe.
understand that, but I'm going to be my personality. And I think
Cursing Joe.
the great coaches that I've been around are comfortable in who they are and know their strengths and put together a
call 'em
staff
Cursing
on
Joe?
things that they might necessarily be their strong points.
Man, what the
Brandon,
fuck,
I was
Josh Allen? I
curious
told you, throw a screen
considering who
pass,
you were interviewing, was
motherfucker.
there a conversation about waiting for coaches in the Super
told
Bowl
you to
in
throw
this
it 5
process,
yards
or
down the
what was
field?
that like with getting the late start on going through this coaching process?
Yeah, great question, Elena. Because when we started, the NFL rules allow you to do Zooms up to a certain
Give me
point
another motherfucking
with
screen
any
pass,
candidate,
Josh.
as long as you follow along at the right time based on whether they're in the
I said, run
postseason
the
or
ball,
not. But
motherfucker. First
because
down.
of when
You know how
this
we do.
change was made and when we started our search, we were
Oh,
no longer
my
allowed to
God.
talk to coaches that were still in the postseason. To the point, the way we did it was
Come here,
we
Josh.
said, let's go ahead and start this process.
Why are you throwing it
with all
15 yards
available
down the
coaches.
field?
Their
Don't you know we
seasons have
don't do
ended,
that?
And we timed these up to run.
I said bubble
we were
screen,
interviewing
motherfucker.
even while the games started on Sunday.
Oh,
So we
man.
said there are some other candidates that are playing, and there's some on each team. We had them identified, and we got on with them the next day and did that. But we can't even, because of the rules, we can't even Zoom anyone on either of the remaining teams. And you hate to rule it out, but I think you would unfairly hurt them because all the staffs are going to be filled up.
Should we just
And
call
I
him
just
Bubble
don't
Screen
know
Joe? I mean, I don't know. We got to come
if
up
it
with
would
a
be fair
nickname
to
for this
them
guy.
or the Bills to wait any longer. It's, I've long been a proponent of changing the hiring process. If you guys remember, and I've brought up rules changes, but I don't make the rules. And my job is to make sure
Joe
I'm
Blow?
always
I don't know.
doing what's best for the Buffalo Bills. And so I just thought once we got to this point,
He ain't no
it would
Buffalo
be,
Joe.
just not smart to wait any longer. We need our guy as long as we find the right guy. Now listen,
You're
if we
cool.
went
Hey,
through
no
these
problem,
9
bro.
and we're like, we're not going to
Tune in
you said
later,
it all,
Vader.
we're not
I
going to
get
force it. But we had some
Damn
very good
work.
options when we did this, and clearly at the end, Joe was the man for the job.
Joe Blow, right? Joe Blow. It does sound catchy, right?
Lance Lysowski from the Buffalo News. Congrats, Joe. Questions for both of you guys. How do you balance personnel you have on the roster, salary cap, and your vision for a possible scheme change on defense specifically as you move forward and build a vision for what you want this to look like?
Yeah, I would say we're going to have to take that one day at a time. We got to get these coaches hired and get them in here. And, Joe and I have already been talking
I also
about
like
some
Bubble
of the
Screen
things,
Joe.
but
That's a good
I
one.
do think on defense, like if we were to make,
Bubblegum Joe? I don't know. Bubble Screen
Joe's
Joe.
looking at different things. Nothing's but a 5 down front or whatever. Like we do think we have some pieces that can already fit in that. But as I said earlier, maybe some don't fit as well. And we'll talk about what that looks like. And then we'll look in free agency and we'll try and identify some guys that would come in and fit
All Josh
whatever the
Allen's
defense is
highlights for
gonna
next
be.
season
and then
are
obviously
going to be
as we get
screen
into
passes.
April, we're closer on that. The
Bubble
cap, we don't even know the cap number.
Every
We've
single
already,
highlight.
I already kind of know some things that we're going to need to do to get under the cap, whatever that number is. And, it's just hard to get too far down the road, Lance, to talk
His
this
football
player
cards
or
is
that
going to
player,
be him
but I
throwing a
know
screen
those
pass.
conversations will intensify over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, man.
And look, it's obviously a unique situation, right? Because we don't have coordinators. But in my opinion, and once you get a coordinator, and the biggest thing is you got to surround your system with the players that you have.
The one that
you
he
don't make
finally
players just fit a system.
finally threw out
You
there.
make a system fit players.
Won all year.
And I think that's the most important thing as we continue to grow. Is that's why your offensive defense things change. Guys get injured. That's why your offense, your defense should be able to have the flexibility to play in different personnel groupings, different weather. And if you only have one way to go with it, and you only have this
They
is the
do
only way that
dress
this
alike.
can work,
Great
you can't
point.
adjust and adapt. I think that's
Same
that's
size,
when you
same
get some
everything.
issues. And so obviously this is a situation where it's vision and it's personality and identifying exactly what we're looking for in a scheme.
Depends on the DC.
And then we can
tour.
continue to build around that. But once you get that, it's more of, okay, this is what we got. Let's not just bang our heads against the wall and say, hey, it doesn't matter. This is what I'm running no matter what. It's no, hey, what do these guys do well? And let's put them in position to have success.
Joe, congratulations. Matt Perino, Syracuse.com.
Matt Perino.
You mentioned coming from Sean Payton's tree, and I'm sure you've had conversations with guys over the years who are
By the way,
calling
guys,
plays
it doesn't
and
mean you're
also
going to be good because you
in-game
coached
management,
under
like head coaching, big picture stuff. How
a
do you
really
plan to
good head
navigate
coach
all
in the
that as
NFL.
a
It doesn't mean
first-time
anything.
coach? I think a lot of fans are
Belichick's
interested in that.
coaches
And the
flopped in the
challenges that
NFL
go
as head
into
coach.
navigating all of the
I
new
don't always buy
responsibilities.
into that
Yeah, I
coaching
think
tree
that's
garbage.
part of the growth. And just like my first time when I took over at LSU, I was a coaching assistant. I'd never called plays before. And it was the same, hey, how are you going to game plan? How are you going to put together a call sheet? How are you going to get – you figure it out. You grow, you learn, you try to do everything you can to put you in the best position to have success.
He was
And then you
never
learn from
OC
mistakes
at
and you
LSU,
continue to grow
guys.
from there. I'm
past
going to
game
do a lot
coordinator.
of
Big
I've
difference.
done in the past years. This isn't something where I just, man, out of nowhere, I decided, this is an opportunity. I hope I can be the head coach here. Like, I believe, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And so
Interesting.
everything that I've done is making sure, and when this opportunity ever did
Now that makes
come
sense,
up,
though, by the way.
that I
we're
had
gonna
a
play
plan
this,
for
by the way.
exactly what I was looking like, and
We're gonna
making
miss
sure that I'm in
Chroma.
constant communication with people of, hey, what did you learn on the job? What can
I don't know.
What,
To be
what
honest
would you
with
have
I
done
haven't really
differently?
looked at the telemetry.
Because at the end of the day, all I know is what I know, but I'm making sure that I'm surrounding myself with people that, and hearing them out and from their experiences. And we're going to bring a lot of
Vrabel
different
wasn't a
coaches in that
coach.
have
I don't think he was a coach with,
been around
with
people that have
Belichick. I could
done
be
it.
wrong.
So
though.
just making sure that
If he was, he's the only
I'm
one
exhausting
that
all the
was
avenues,
successful
knowing that I
as a
don't
head
have all
coach.
the answers. But if
But
I surround
I could be
myself with
wrong on
enough
that.
people and I'm open enough, that I'll be able to find out what works best for us.
I didn't say her. Congrats earlier, so congrats.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to answer
it was
your
very
question.
rude. Wanted to get that off.
No, you're good, buddy.
When people reach like a life-changing milestone, I'm always curious, just from the human element. When you finally find out
Exactly.
that you
That's
got
what I
this
thought.
job,
Yeah.
who and what do you start to think about?
So
What are
Belichick's
those
coach
first
tree
initial thoughts?
wasn't the greatest.
My wife. I am because of the people in my life.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that,
there's
brother.
No element in
After
my
the
life
press
has
conference,
ever
we're
been
gonna
about
go
me.
through a lot. Okay.
There's
I
no,
promise
I don't
you
put
guys.
trophies behind me. I don't do anything there's nothing that I do because of me. It's because of the people that I surround myself, the people that do all the sacrifices for that. I love to work. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna go home, let my wife know, hey, now I got to get back. It's time to work.
What if you said,
Like,
I hate
enjoy that.
I hate
There's no-
working,
that
guys? I got to be
competitive
honest with
stamina
you.
that I believe I'm going to continue to instill in our guys.
I really just
the
want to
same
come
mindset
in here,
that I
get it
have to
over
have,
with,
but,
get home.
I don't look at it as like, man, this is
I
an
w-
achievement.
obviously,
This is an
that's
opportunity
a-
to do what I love and an opportunity to work.
I
and I'm
love
just
that.
grateful for the people that I get to do it with.
I really fucking hate this shit, man. Just going
Dave
and
Naylor
fucking
from
work.
TSN. Brandon,
Just wanna
with
get
respect
my
to what you
ass
said,
home.
you tried to treat Joe as if
Fucking
he was
tired
working
dealing
for
with
somebody
these
else
fucking
and not
players.
make it about history. But you and him and other people here have had a tremendous amount of success over the last 4 seasons that Joe's been a part of overall. Was there any part of you that didn't want to depart completely from all of that? And did Joe
Wanted it-
represent
just some honesty?
consistency with that? Again, with respect to what you said about him being
fuck this job.
with
It's
another
fucking
team. I'm just
bullshit
wondering if
job.
you can balance those things for me.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Think I
I
like
never
dealing with
really
these
thought
fucking
through the
assholes.
process of the years that Joe was here. Honestly, too, you just said 2022. They kind of run together. No, it was. I went into it with a blank slate of we got to find the right guy, and I would say the odds when you have one person from the building and 8 outside the building, I would say the odds were against Joe being selected. That's just God's honest truth. And I can tell you there's some candidates that we interviewed that are going to be really good head coaches. And but
that's
at
great
the
to
end
know.
of the day, when you're stacking,
So if this guy
we had a
fucks up-
list that put together.
Now you guys
what
go
do we
back and see
want
this presser,
in-
'cause
what do you look for in a general head coach, and then
We really
what do you
fucked
want
up here.
in
We-
the
we
Buffalo
passed up on
Bills
some good
head coach? And there's some it can be a little
Stuck
tweak
with
here
this
or there.
guy.
When you're at the end and you're
Boy, we
starting
better-
to pair
he
some
better
people
hope
out and
not.
get it down to 3, 4, and then 1
You
or
better
2.
hope this works out.
You're checking those boxes.
I like Bean,
And
but whew,
while no one is
risky
gonna 100%
decision.
check every single box, Joe checked a lot of boxes, and we think the areas, some of it is boxes he's never
me
done it
neither,
before.
bro.
You
me
can't check
neither.
that box. But
I'll be rooting for my
ultimately,
Bills
we
always
think
and forever, man.
knowing him,
No
knowing his
matter what.
vision, and knowing the team and the support staff that we have
Can we
here,
get him?
that we can help fill in some of those areas. We all have holes
Probably
in our game,
if,
so
you
to
know, if they
speak.
give up enough, but I doubt
me
Minnesota wants
included,
to move
and
on.
that's where I think Joe and I will complement each other, and it's been fun for 2 days to look at him in a different light than
Till it's
when
not.
I looked at him before.
Till
And
till shit's going
I can kind of talk through that
sideways.
too, because look, full transparency, I didn't know what I was walking into. Like obviously I wanted the opportunity, but you don't know. And I have been in the building, and that's what
That's
I came.
supposed
I
to-
remember when I got out of that
What do you
interview,
mean you don't know?
and like I said, there was.
You've been here
it
since
was an intense
2022.
interview,
You don't.
and
You don't.
there's some places that I've
No, no,
interviewed
no.
that acted as if they knew me more than
This
than
guy's
this
talked
place,
to
and that's
Brandon
what I
Bean
was
since
appreciative of.
2022. He doesn't know.
But
Stop.
when you go through the process of, you can really tell that I came away and I remember calling my agent right away, and I was like, man,
Man, it's the first time I talked to
about
Brandon
how
Beans.
tough it was, but I also talked about how impressive.
I've never
I came
even
away
been in
with
the
how
room
they
with this guy
approached it.
before.
The questions, what mattered to them. I mean, Josh did not toss me any alley oops. I can tell you that. Like it was impressive, even the questions that he asked and the vision that he was, kind of talking through. And so
I do.
It gave me an opportunity to obviously, get in front of Mr. Bagula.
Mafia Sports Report. I'll put it in
meant
the
a lot to me, but
comment
the way
section.
that they approached the situation meant more to me. I didn't walk away feeling like, oh, hey, you know what? I was just in-house. Hey, check the box. Like I walked away and I was appreciative of the opportunity, and I was able to show who I am because they allowed me to, they didn't sit there and say, hey, we know this guy.
Joe, you got guys that's on the staff that was with you, such as Ron Curry, who was quarterback coach, the same position that you were in. And then you got guys that on the defensive side, which was the #1 passing defense.
You're welcome.
That, that played an integral part. How would guys like Jamel Uday and guys like Ron Curry share some of the qualities when you look to building that staff?
Yeah, I think, look, the biggest thing that to me is when you put together a staff is understand the different type of personalities and making sure that you have a bunch of different backgrounds, both schematically, personality, and not just sitting there looking for a cookie cutter. If we have a bunch of Joe Brady's in the room, we're not going to grow and we're not going to
evolve. My God, if we had a
that's
bunch of Joe
important to me.
Brady's in
And
the
so
room.
putting together that staff, there's so
Holy
many critical
shit.
elements that I look for, different type of people. Some guys might be
You're in
more
a lot of fucking
fundamental
trouble.
driven. Some guys might be the energy, the juice, the rah-rah guys. Some guys might be the calm communicators.
Oh,
and
the
understanding
rah-rahs.
the type of rooms that they're coaching and putting that room together is so important to me. And so making sure as I'm looking at it from a clean slate, just like they did, and saying, hey, what am I looking to? I only get one opportunity.
He
to be a head
absolutely
football
was the
coach.
first choice.
I'm not in the
Absolutely.
business of hiring my friends and making sure I want to get the best football coaches for these players because they deserve that. And so that's what's important to me.
Absolutely. Now, diving into player development, you got young guys such as Max Harrison, Dwayne Carter, Keon Coleman. What would be your approach into their development going forward?
I think the biggest thing is making sure that we go back and evaluate our systems to start. And that's in every element of the organization.
Man, fuck Keon Coleman.
There's a reason they're on our football team because we believe in them, right? And they didn't want to understand that.
Come on,
and I think
Joe.
two is understanding.
Give us that
and
curse
communicating
word
and
like
get
you
to
said
know
you
them.
like to throw
The
out
only way
there.
you can coach guys is if you really know them.
Man, you don't you
how
guys
can I
got
hold him
benches
accountable?
ass
How can
ass
I
here?
communicate to him? How can
I'm
I
telling
understand
Bean
how
right
he
now,
views this? If
train
I'm
his
not,
fucking
if I don't
ass.
care about him and I don't get to know the
Motherfucker
person.
didn't do screen
And so
passes
that's what
like
the
I
biggest
want.
thing for me this offseason, just is to
That guy
talk with the
wanted to
guys,
run
get on the
actually
FaceTimes, try to get an
routes.
understanding that I'm not the offensive coordinator anymore, right? I'm their head coach, and I want to get to know them so that then I can be able to coach them and continue to develop them the way that they need.
This guy wanted to be a receiver. Can you believe that?
Hey,
He
Joe,
wanted me to scheme things up
there was
for
a
him.
lot written, talked about the downfield passing game this year. And obviously,
here we go. Here we go.
You're as close to it as anybody. What do you look at? I'm sure you've reviewed it all.
Man, fuck
How is that
downfield
going to
passes.
improve? What do you have to do to make this
That's a
team
dumb
more
fucking
functional
question. I'm a
down the
screen
field than it
pass
was last
offensive
season?
coordinator.
Yeah, look, there's so many different elements that come into just
That's
saying
too
downfield
dangerous.
passing, right? We ended up finishing second in the NFL on explosives, right? So there's so many different ways of how you can you can throw the ball 20 yards and get a 20-yard completion. You can throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage and get a 20-yard completion. There's so many different ways you can get that. But I also think you have to understand that you got to be able to attack the defense, stretch the defense vertically. But you also got to be smart about what you're going with and making sure that Josh is making great decisions.
A 20-yard on a
that's an element of our game that has to improve, and it
At
will
a screen
improve.
pass?
And it has to
That's-
improve in the offseason.
doesn't
as we
happen
get
a
into
lot, guys.
the situations of we don't have pads and it's a passing camp essentially. Like I said, I'm from the Sean Payton tree, right? And the way that I was raised and understand that the aggressiveness of pushing the ball on the field and what it does. But I also understand we're not going to just bang our heads against the wall. And if people are as deep as the deepest and it's like, hey, Josh, just throw it deep. But we're going to continue to evolve.
No
and
one
change
said that,
and
Joe.
grow our
Nobody
offense based
said
upon
that,
the personnel
Joe.
that we have. Josh is going to continue to grow and get better. And then we're going to be able to put an offense around that. But just to say, hey, we're just going to throw it deep, just to throw it deep.
Who said
we
that?
gotta make
Nobody
sure
said
we're
that,
effective at it
Joe.
as well.
Hey, Joe, Jay with the Buffalo News. How much
Nobody
autonomy
said
did
that.
you have over the last couple of years to call the offense that you wanted to call versus having it fit into a vision that was maybe laid out by the head coach?
Ooh,
Look,
good question.
There's a way to win every game. And that's to me the most important thing. And as a head football coach, sharing the vision and making sure that you're communicating with your coordinators about this is what it's going to take to win this football
Come on,
game.
throw them under the bus.
Part of I do believe calling plays is understanding that as well. When you look at us from an offensive perspective this year, there was games where we lived in 13 personnel and needed to control the line of scrimmage and control the game. There was games that we knew, hey, this is going to probably be a high scoring game, and you got to call it differently.
There was games where we had
I'm the
0
play
points
caller,
at halftime,
and I'm not
Joe.
gonna put any
times.
excuses or anything like that. If there was any issues or anything that came up from an offensive
Oh my
perspective
God.
for offense, that falls strictly on me. And I was in communication with Coach McDermott, and at the end of the day, we have to grow our offense. I know we had a lot of success this last year, but we looked different than the previous year, and we're going to have to continue to look different next year.
Did we have a lot of success? They want to get the hell out of there. By the way, this was at the new, I believe, the new stadium. So, all right. Well, that's that for that. Let me get back to the initial. Where am I at here? Where am I at? Oh man, I'm gone. Where? What is going on here? Let me fix my screen here, guys. Oh man. There I am. Hold on real quick, guys. Let me close this YouTube down here. There we go. Let's put some background music on and let's go ahead and dive into that. So, first things first. Now, there's some of you guys out there like No Bones in the chat, somebody that's rocked with Mafia Sports Report for a long time. He's all for this hire. He's all for the Joe Brady hire. And hey, look, I'm going to tell you this, man, No Bones, you're not alone. Like Mikey is also, you guys know Mikey's my co-host. He's all for the Joe Brady hire as well. He has no problem with it, right? I don't know if he's overly excited, but he still likes it, right? So for me, look, man, here's my problem. Here's my issue with the Joe Brady hiring. And it's very concerning to me, okay? Hold on real quick. Let me get to some of your chat. Oh, and by the way, I did promise real quick. I'm sorry before I get to what I was going to talk about. There were some super chats in here earlier. I read them already, but I do want to shout them out again. It was Nickel City Mafia. By the way, they have a podcast. Go over there, support Nickel City Mafia as well. Mike is a good dude, a good friend of mine. Also, right here, Drink the Toilet Water. Great name, by the way. Great name. Let me go ahead and hit the Bills train horn because I always do the train horn for every single motherfucking super chat up in here. And that's how we do. They're much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for all your super chats that you guys, send my way. I appreciate that. Let me put back the background. All right. Let's get back to some of your guys' chats. So let me scroll back down. All right. You better be perfect or the town folk are going to string you out of town square and set you up place. All right, so let's get to it. So look, man, here's why I'm not crazy about the hire. Hit that horn. You damn real I got to hit that horn. I mean, we're a long way away from the actual Bills train horn because obviously we have to wait because our Buffalo Bills unfortunately are not in the Super Bowl. So we got to wait to hit that real train horn in September. So back to Joe Brady, back to the hire. So when Joe Brady got here in 2022, he was a quarterback coach. Ken Dorsey, I believe in 2020, was it 2022? No. So was Dable still in 2022? Ken Dorsey was on the team as well, I believe, in that point. So maybe Joe Brady was some part of the coach staff. I can't remember what he was because I believe, let me see here in 2022, I believe it was still, Brian Dable. Let me see here. So I could be wrong. It might have been Ken Dorsey, actually. No. So he became OC in 2024, which I thought. I was going to say that's way too early. So Brian, what was his initial job here, Joe Brady, in 2022 for the Buffalo Bills? What was his position at the time? Because I don't want to, So yeah, so I guess so maybe he did come in 2022, and then I guess Ken Dorsey probably got promoted or something like that at that time. So Ken Dorsey takes over as OC when Brian Dable leaves. Ken Dorsey goes a year. First year is the top 5 offense. Second year under Ken Dorsey, he gets fired halfway through the season. What's funny about that? Okay, and listen, I was on board with the firing as well at the time. I was frustrated as a Buffalo Bills fan, especially watching that offense struggle the way it did in that course of I think it was 2 or 3 games. The offense was kind of getting into a funk, right? It actually started off really good. If you guys want to go back in that season, Ken Dorsey actually had a great start to the season. We were scoring a lot of points. Then we kind of gotten stuck in the mud, and then fans were like, man, got to get rid of Ken. So it was kind of for me, it felt rushed, but I also was frustrated as well with some of the play calling decisions, and I got it. Listen, it is what it is, right? And they moved on. They got Joe Brady. Joe Brady's offense kind of still was teetering a little bit off of Ken Dorsey's playbook / Brian Dable's playbook, I guess you want to call it. But if you noticed right away, Stephon Diggs' numbers started going down. His production started going down. You could see the offense shifting into this new type of offense that probably Sean McDermott wanted more. And Joe Brady had experience running in Carolina, and then we're going to talk about that too. So Joe Brady takes over the following year, full-time OC. As you guys know, obviously Josh Allen's MVP year, which I got to say, that wasn't Josh Allen's best year statistically. Josh Allen actually got snubbed for the MVP a few years back, in my opinion, where he had way better stats, right? But I feel like they gave it to him that year because, one, I felt like they maybe almost felt like they made a mistake in the past by not giving Josh Allen an MVP, and 2, really the surrounding cast and what Josh had to work with and how the offense was still good with so less, right? In another year where we're a winning football team, and to me, that's why Josh Allen really got the MVP. I don't know if it was so much that Brady's offensive scheme was so great and wonderful that Josh Allen just had this unbelievable statistical year and just blew the number. The numbers were blown through the roof, right? That wasn't the case. His numbers they were good, but they weren't spectacular. There was actually better quarterbacks statistically his MVP year. Remember, and that was the argument where a lot of people were like, hey, whoa, Lamar had a better year. Statistical wise, but we were going, hey, but look, what did Lamar have to work with? What did Josh have to work with? Look what Josh did with this team. Look how far he got with this. You know what I mean? So to me, that's what got Josh the MVP. Not so much that this offense was so special that it catered to Josh Allen. That wasn't the case. Josh Allen's best years here were Brian Dable. Come on, guys. You guys know that. Now, did the interceptions go lower with Joe Brady his first year? Sure, but what about the second year? Not really. Right? Because things weren't working out. Josh was pressing, right? Because the second year, what happens, guys? Right? The defensive coordinators go, okay, this is what Joe Brady's doing, right? This is what he did year 1. We know we got the film on this guy. This guy likes to throw everything short underneath, right? He likes to, they're going to be a run first team. They're going to run a lot on the first. Bro, all that shit's on film. Eventually, DCs, that's their job, right? At least the good ones, right? So you have to adjust. You have to grow as an offensive coordinator. You can't just be going out with the same philosophy, the same offense every single season, right? And Joe didn't understand that, right? So what happens in year 2 with Joe Brady? The offense sputters, right, compared to year 1. And I'll be honest with you, I felt like we had a better wide receiver group than we did in Joe Brady's first year here, in my opinion. Brady didn't understand how to work with these guys. He didn't understand their strengths. He didn't scheme them up. He didn't get routes that were designed for what we had in the room. There was a reason why we failed, right? Let me get to some comments. I don't want to get too behind. I feel like, that's the one thing I don't like to do is ignore you guys. So I'm by myself. I apologize if I don't get to every single one of your guys' comments, but you know that I try my best. Bean toxifies the whole thing. He'll have to draft 4 wide receivers to get any trust back. And I think it's going to come from a trade. There's just not a lot of receivers in this draft, bro. Brady has the OC job. Brady had the OC job at Ravens if wanted. Yeah, and you know what? Their fans there would have been like, what the Brady is not a visionary yet. Right now, he is on his way over his head. I just think will be a rough year. DC will be vital, but Brady regression of relying on everyone else is not true leadership. We got a super chat coming in here real quick. Let's go ahead and get to that. Every super chat, y'all know, gets that Bills train horn. Let's go ahead and fire that thing up. Oh, that train horn. That train horn is a good one, man. I love the train horn. Thank you so much for the super chat. By the way, let me turn that music down. To be fair to Brady, Diggs falls off after October every year. But it wasn't so much. I get your point, and it is a good point, actually. It's a fair point. But regular season wise, though, like, even through the playoffs, like, Diggs has had better numbers. And going into that offseason, there was a problem already between Diggs and the coaching staff and the vision of this offense. It was just going into a totally different direction. And look, I'm not saying Diggs wasn't partially to blame. He started to act a little bit, a little bit like a diva, or not a little bit, a lot like a diva, a little bit out of control, throwing people under the bus online. You can't throw your quarterback under the bus. You can't play that game of who, when people are like, who's better, like who made who, Josh or Diggs, like you don't want to get yourself involved in those conversations. And he did. I felt like that was the wrong thing to do, So there was, look, he wasn't perfect. I'm just explaining you why I felt like it wasn't a good system for Stephon Diggs here, and that's why really ultimately why he wanted out, and that's why him and McDermott had the falling out. To be honest with you, Brady confirmed he is not a control freak in so many words. Yeah, well, if we hire Jim Leonard as DC and the Chargers us 3-4, do we trade Ed Oliver for picks? It's going to be really interesting. I mean, it's a great question. It's possible. I don't think we do, though. We just signed Ed Oliver. I don't know if we, but you listen, I think at this point, maybe a lot of things are on the table. We have to give Joe a chance. He seems to have some good energy and wants a winning team. I get it, and I hope look. Every coach that comes in, every coach that's hired around the NFL, or really in any sport, should have that energy, right? Who wants a winning team? Like, no coach going to come in and be like, "Hey, man, I'm going to do my best, bro." Like, I don't know if I can get this team to be a winning team. I just got to be real with the guy. Like, they're not going to say that, right? Like, I get that. You know what I mean? I'm on board with that. But let me go back to the Joe Brady thing. So here's my problem. So I never like looked up why, Joe Brady was fired from Carolina. I never really tracked the history of Joe Brady throughout the course of his coaching cycle, right? So dating back to LSU, he was never the OC. A lot of us, including myself, thought he was the OC, thought he was calling plays. He wasn't, right? So yeah, we could look at that LSU team and go, damn, dude, right? That's when they won it all. Burrow and Jefferson and Chase, and wow, that offense was electric. One, they had electric players. It's kind of hard not to be right electric when you have two of the best receivers right now currently in the NFL, and, you know, a top 5 quarterback in Joe Burrow. Let's be real, right? So it's kind of hard to fuck that up. That's one. Two, he was not OC there, so he didn't have a lot of responsibility at LSU, right? Where finger pointing would go on and be like, "Oh, yo, Joe, we got, you know, Justin Jefferson, we got Chase here, you got Burrow. Why are you doing this?" And then he didn't have that response. He didn't have that on him, right? So his life was a little easier, right? Of course, he had less responsibility at LSU than being the guy in charge of the offense, which was the OC at LSU. Then he gets hired at Carolina, right? As this guy, and we've heard it all here before. You know, this guy's an offensive genius, or you know, we've heard that thrown around. You know, the NFL. It's just same with, you know, Udinsky and Ben Johnson. Like, you don't know it to be true until the facts are shown, right? Until they actually call an offense, and that offense looks legit, where you go, yeah, like that's special. That's a special offense. Wow, look what he did with such and such, right? Look what he did with that roster. To me, that's what makes an offense a genius, right? When you have a team where it's like, okay, what can he do with these cast of characters? Can he make these guys? Can he get these guys to play at a higher level, right, than what they really are, right? That's what makes a coach special. That's what made Belichick special for many, many seasons, right? He didn't have the best, like, players in the world outside of Tom Brady and Gronk, but everybody else they were average to good, but he got them to play at a high level. You notice a lot of those guys went to different teams. They didn't play at the same level as they did in New England, right? It's just Bill got the best out of his players, right? Always. It didn't matter who you were. For the most part, he got the best out of you, right? And that's what the best do. And look, so when Joe goes to Carolina, right? Now look, he went with Matt Rule. Okay, Matt Rule, sorry ass head coach. I get it. Okay, fine, right? But for me, that has nothing to do with what the offense coordinator or DC does. Like, as far as their job is concerned, like, their job should be to do their best, their ability, right? Now, when you go back to and when I did my research on why Joe Brady was fired from Carolina, right? You always want to read and not only read what articles say, right, from, you know, Carolina, meaning, you know, the Carolina newspapers, or you also want to read what fans have to say on Reddit. Like, I always find it interesting to go back and read what fans were saying about a specific player or coach, mainly coach, right? What their concerns were with that person, right? So when I went and dug back, and I did it this year, I didn't do it initially, which I probably should have, right? I probably should have, you know, went back in my timeline and be like, okay, who is this Joe Brady? What has he done? You know, what did he do in Carolina? Why did he get fired in Carolina? What did he do at LSU, etc.? So when I go back and look at Joe Brady, now I'm going to pop this on the screen. Now, I've done this before. I've showed this before, but for those that are new here or maybe missed this episode where I talked about Joe Brady, I'm going to go ahead and pop this on the screen. Maybe you guys can see it. Maybe you can't. I apologize if you can't, but I'll go ahead and read it anyways. You probably can't read it because it's too small. You're probably on your phone. Anyways, so this is by SI, an article by SI, and this is years ago, right? This is, I think, 2021 or 2022. The end of 2021 season, I believe. Anyways, after nearly 2 seasons, the Panthers parted ways with Brady due to the offensive continued struggles. At the moment, Carolina ranks 29th in yards per game, 29th in passing, 24th in scoring. Now, mind you, there's no Josh Allen there. You guys know Josh Allen makes everything better, so don't give me who did he have to work with. If he was such an offensive genius, like I said earlier, you should, doesn't matter, you should be able to get these guys playing at a higher level. By the way, the quarterback was Cam Newton. Now, was it the Cam Newton MVP kind of Cam Newton? Was it the same kind of Cam Newton? Probably not. But it wasn't a garbage-ass quarterback either, right? Okay. So here we go. What's my true, honest opinion on Brady? I think he's a good football coach. I really do. He's bright. He's a bright, offensive-minded mind, but he's very young. Sometimes young coaches that are extremely smart outsmart themselves. They play too much into the analytics. They're super conservative and run a vanilla offense. There's nothing complex about Brady's scheme. It's very basic, which is why he struggled to have positive results in this league. You can't be predictable. When I saw that, guys, I said, whoa, holy shit, wait a minute. I've been saying this for 2 years about Joe Brady. Mind you, I just read this article, this season. Like, I didn't read this when I've been saying this last year about what I'm watching from Joe Brady. What am I watching, right? The eyeball test, right? It never fails. And I said, holy shit, this is what I've been saying. You have to throw in a bunch of motions, double moves, RPOs, rub routes, and present the defense with some eye candy pre-snap. From what I can tell, 90% of the motions are just to expose if the defense is in man or zone coverage. There are very few motions into routes, blocks, or once again, eye candy. Getting the eyes on the defense, getting the eyes of the defense to have their eyes in the wrong place could be difference between a 2-yard gain and a 20-yard gain. And I've been saying this too, and Mikey, you said this too. Where are the motions, right? Where are the double moves? Where are the RPOs, right? Where is this? Where is this eye candy from Joe Brady? It's gone. It's not there. We very rarely see it in Joe Brady's offense, right? Then it says, after the Panthers put up miserable offensive performance against the Giants, the writing was on the wall. Joe Brady wasn't going to last. It was more of a matter of time or matter of when than if he would be fired. Let's see here. What else? One of the biggest reasons I believe Brady Panthers marriage didn't last long is because of Brady's experience calling plays. A lot of people forget that he wasn't the offensive coordinator at LSU. He was the pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach, thus meaning he has never had full control of an offense before. Looking back on it, you could argue that those star players that he had at LSU were the sole reason he earned an opportunity with Rule and the Panthers in the first place. Sometimes players make a coach look better than he really is. That's not to say Brady won't ever again regain that success. I think he will. In all likelihood, he'll land on his feet back at the college level as an OC. And we'll find a lot of growth in his next stop, which he didn't. He came to Buffalo as quarterback coach. So that's that article, right? That's that article. There was also another article. Let me close this real quick, guys. Okay. There was also another article that said, simply put, the Panthers' runs do not resemble their drop back game, which makes dissecting post-snap plays easier for defenders. Brady's designs did not put the Panthers in enough advantages situations either. Instead, he repeatedly asked receivers to win their respective matchup rather than scheming them open. Right? So that's that, right? And then you got fans, right? You got fans saying this, right? Saying, let's see here. And then I looked up message boards because I had to, right? I had to look up some message boards to really go through what some of the fans are saying. This is 4 years ago, by the way. 4 years ago. And these are fans like you would be a fan here in Buffalo, complaining about the same shit or whatever. Joe Brady was the guy who ran the same 5 plays on Madden against the AI and impressed his friends. Then he went online and everyone else knew how to stop those plays, right? That's one comment, right? There's another comment. His weakness in play calling and scheming against opponents. He was not given the best situation, but not exactly the worst either. he is not our only problem, but I'm happy that we made a change. He is young, and I think he'll learn from this experience. Did he? But did he? Right? Did he learn? Right? And here's my biggest problem too with all that. With all that being said, Joe Brady comes here. Everything that I just read to you guys is everything I've been complaining about for the last 2 years. So what does that say? That says either one, he refuses to change his ways, possible, or two, he simply is not good enough to. There's only two options. You can't tell me. So, and then I heard it's Matt Rule. Matt Rule, sorry. Okay, well, he went to, for all the people out there that, say Sean McDermott was a good coach, which I think he was a good coach. I don't think he was a great coach. I think he was a very good coach. He wasn't Super Bowl caliber, but let's be real. Sean McDermott was a good coach. So you can't say Joe Brady had a bad coach here, can you? So are we going to say it yet again that Joe Brady went from one system, one team to another, and he just had the same bullshit ass coach that was just forcing him to call offenses this way? I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I don't. And even if, let's say hypothetically, and in a sense, I believe this is what McDermott wanted. This is the type of offense McDermott wanted ran. It's still up to Joe Brady to play to be the guy calling the plays. He still was in charge of calling the plays, right? He was still in charge of scheming things up for the receivers, right? He was still in charge of adjusting during the course of a game. And he failed at a lot of those things, right? Guys, we had 0 points multiple times this season. That's crazy with Josh Allen. We had games where we had 3 points at half, 7 points at half, right? Where we were just totally stuck. Where Brady just couldn't find his ways, right? He's unwilling to change. He didn't adjust well. So my fear is, once again, is if he couldn't change as an OC, or he's unwilling to, what makes you guys think as a head coach when problems arise? Because they will. He's young. Now you're in the big leagues. Now you're a head coach. You got way more responsibility on your hands. So when those problems come at you, are you going to be able to fix them, correct them, or are you unwilling to? Or you simply just can't? Right? And those are the questions I have when it comes to Joe Brady. And on top of that, now we find out he's going to also be calling plays. So not only is he head coach, he's basically offensive coordinator. So he's doing double duty year one for a guy that's never coached in the NFL, never been a head coach in the NFL. He's taking all that responsibility on his plate. Year one is very concerning. It's very concerning. So that is why I'm not so crazy about the hire. Okay? I don't think he's a terrible person. And maybe I'm wrong as well. Maybe this guy winds up bringing that energy that maybe McDermott didn't have. That youth, right? That youthful energy that he can relate to the players a little bit more in that locker room. Okay, yeah, I could buy into that. I could buy into that. But I also need a coach side of things. I need a guy that's not going to buckle under pressure. I need a guy that's going to be able to adjust and change his ways when things aren't going right. Not be stuck, right? And he hasn't shown me as an offensive coordinator in Carolina, as an offensive coordinator in Buffalo, that he knows how to do that. And that's my concern when it comes to Joe Brady. And of course, yes, we could have had the same concerns when it comes to the other coaches that were out there, right? They all had, I'm sure, concerns. Of course, nothing was guaranteed, right? But for me, at least it would have been a fresh start with a guy with a whole new vision, rather than a guy I already know what his vision is. He's been here as an OC. I know what he presents. I know what he brings to the table. For me, like, Yadinsky would have been, you never know what you get first year head coach. But for me, what he did in Jacksonville is more impressive than what Brady did here with this offense, in my opinion. That's how I look at it. I could be wrong. Y'all could think different. You got a guy in Kubiak who's in the Super Bowl right now. You couldn't wait for him. You might as well have. What about Brian Dable, who Josh Allen thrived under, who Josh Allen statistically had his best seasons under? But you went with the safe bet. You went with a guy that that Brandon Beane says, okay, I know this guy. This guy's not going to play tug of war with me, right? If I say I want this guy in the draft, he's not going to fight me on it, right? I gave him this opportunity, right? I fired Sean McDermott basically to give this guy the job because you heard it in the press conference. Joe Brady was on top of the board from the get-go. He was their first interview. And then I believe you said they had a second interview, correct? So I think Joe Brady was the only coach that they interviewed. I could be wrong, but I believe I'm right that they interviewed twice. Joe Brady. So Joe Brady, he got the initial interview, he got the second, and he got hired right away. Listen, I think Joe Brady, like I said earlier, I think he was already chosen. I think they were going to do a little bit of their homework and which is, it is what it is, go around and interview other coaches. But I think their mind was kind of already set on Joe Brady. And, for me, when Beane, looked at it, it made sense in the fact that he's a young guy. He's not going to give me any fight over the roster. This isn't a Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane tug of war, right? But I'm going to tell you right now, Terry Bagula, if this goes sideways, is going to fire Brandon Beane. Like, your job's on the line now. You put your job on the line for this guy because you didn't want to risk going out and getting a different head coach that might have, had a different vision, right? Or maybe a different idea of how he sees a roster picks, right? Draft picks or free agency. You wanted to go with the safer bet. Also, I also feel like he wanted to keep it in-house, meaning keep Josh Allen happy. Hey, I know this guy. He's not going to, we have a chemistry already, right? It's not like a new guy coming in where things can get off track, right? This is an easy transition from Sean McDermott to Joe Brady, right? Everybody's still kind of happy, right? Deion Dawkins could quit pouting now. No offense, Deion, I love you. But have you guys noticed, I believe Josh Allen was at the presser. These guys are going to get over it quick. Like it's a business. And this was an easier way to get it over quick because it's a guy they know, right? So for them, young guy, been in the building, easy transition. So that's my thoughts. This is why I'm not thrilled about the Joe Brady hiring. However, with that being said, I'm a Bills fan, and it doesn't matter. I'm never jumping off the ship. I'm gonna go down with the ship regardless. You know what I mean? So, of course, I'll be rooting for Joe Brady. I'm not one of those fans out there. There are some of you guys that are gonna be rooting against him that just want to see his failure. I don't want that. That's not me because I'm a team guy. I want the team to succeed always, even with McDermott. By the way, I have that bet going again with Joe Brady. If Joe Brady wins us a Super Bowl, I'll put a tattoo. I heart Joe Brady on my arm or, a leg or whatever. Right. If he wins a Super Bowl, and I have no problem with that. And by the way, if I'm wrong and I'm wrong in all of this, not only will I get the tattoo, but I'll eat crow. I have no problem letting you guys know when I'm wrong on an opinion that I shovel out on here. I'm not always right? None of us are. That's life. Like, we're not always right in things that we say. But as of right now, as we sit right here, I don't like the hire. I think they could have. They think they had opportunities out there that were better fit in my opinion. That would have been a better fit for the Buffalo Bills. And I think fans, Bills Mafia, to be honest with you, wanted a fresh start. We didn't want any hangovers from the McDermott era, because if you're going to fire McDermott, at least how I saw it, you move on from everything McDermott, right? And I think, honestly, that's why a lot of fans were mad that Bean didn't get fired at the same time McDermott did, because they wanted their thinking was, if you get rid of McDermott, just blow it all up then. Get rid of everything McDermott, which would have included Bean. I didn't agree with that. I thought Bean, was dealt a bad hand at times because of McDermott. I thought there was a lot of tug of war at the end, but I felt like McDermott ultimately called the show here. I was excited, and I still am excited, in a way, to see what Bean will now do in the draft and free agency. Will he be more aggressive now that, McDermott is gone? Will he be more catering around Allen and the offense? Because that's another thing, guys. If you got a franchise quarterback, right? Once you establish that in-house, you gotta build around your franchise quarterback. That's how you get it done. You don't build around everything else and then come back to the quarterback. You build around your foundation, which is Josh Allen, right? And I felt like the Bills kind of moved away from that at times, and really down over the last 2 or 3 years. They kind of went like, "You're good, Josh. You're great. Like you're we know you could put your cape on it any time. We gotta." We're going to worry about everything else. You just do you, and we trust you, right? But that's not fair. That's not right, and that's not how it should go, right? You need to build around your quarterback. You need to surround him with guys that he can rely on, that he can trust, right? And we simply did not do that. And that's why I feel like Josh Allen's one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, because of what he's had in the room, what we have shoveled out to him and said, hey, work with this kid. It's simply not right. And on the flip side, all that time that we avoided Josh Allen and the offense and getting him playmakers, we were busy fucking around with this defense that provided really nothing. Like, what did we do throughout those years that bettered this team while we were ignoring the offense, ignoring Josh Allen? Nothing. Nothing changed. Nothing happened. The defense still was one of the worst against the run in the NFL. The defense still gave up 33 points in the playoffs when the game mattered the most, right? So we concentrated on defense, and it led us nowhere yet again. So, I'm excited for this. I hope Bean caters now to the offense more. I'm just concerned about Joe Brady. All right. I just talked for a good amount of time. I missed a lot of comments. And I'm going to get to him now. But you guys know I have to talk a little bit. I can't stop and go to the chat as when I'm on my soapbox. This is a $1 billion business. It's not about being buddies with the players. Brady seems to be young, seems too young to be in this trust. In this, it seems more self-fulfilling for Bagula and Bean. Yeah, I mean, I like the youth. I don't mind that, but yeah, the buddy thing. Hopefully, hopefully he understands that he has to be a leader, right? Be a head coach, meaning hold players accountable. It's not buddy. I hope they get a good quarterback coach in here as well. That's one thing I noticed too. Josh doesn't have a lot of people to really, talk to him on a sideline, right? When things aren't going right, kind of boost him up or even let him know when he's not doing the right thing, right? Like, it's been a while, right? I think Josh needs that guy, right? Like, Ken Dorsey was an excellent quarterback coach. Excellent. I know you're loyal, Tommy. You are definition of ride or die. Always, Christy. I wouldn't, once again, these are just opinions. I could be wrong on everything I'm saying. Just because I don't like the hire, just because I don't like a free agent signing or a draft pick, it doesn't mean I'm hating. It doesn't mean I hate my team or I'm just being this hater. Like, this is a podcast, right? I'm just basing opinions. You're going to go, I'm sure you guys are going to go over to Cover One or Fanatics or, Post Podium, and they're going to all have different takes. Some people are going to love this pick, this signing or this hiring. Some people are going to hate it. Matter of fact, some people are going to probably hate it more than I hate it. Right? So get ready, because everyone's going to have their takes on the situation or this hiring of Joe Brady, right? So you're going to get steered in different directions, but ultimately, guys, it's up to you to decide what if you like the hire or not. I'm not going to force anything down your throat to say, hey, you must go by with what I'm saying. You must, this is what you have to believe in because I say so. Like, that's simply not what I'm trying to do here. Look at my Patriots. We were 4-13 last season. Now in Super Bowl based on one change, head coach. So young guys can turn it around too. Absolutely, they can. But Mike, you're talking about Vrabel, who was a very good coach before he even went to New England. But change is always, look, there's nothing wrong with change. I tell people that all the time too. Don't be scared of change, right? Like, if you're scared of change, and then you're never going to see different results, right? You're just never going to do that. You're just never going to get that opportunity to see a different result, right? And matter of fact, that goes in life in general, right? Like, my buddy, great. I talked to him the other day because Captain D, you guys might know him from AFCE Shakedown, but my buddy Captain D was a certified mechanic for years for a dealership. I mean, years, probably 20-something years. And, one day he a guy came in that did some kind of, it was like tech. It was something with I forget what he does now. It's like something with the for the body shop. So body shop, when your car gets into a wreck, they come in with this tool, this machine, and they plug it up to the brain of the car, and they have to correct the sensors that got fucked up during the wreck. So they have to align the sensors basically back in the car. And there's no mechanic work. It's basically you plug it in, you have to have this machine, and you have to have a computer, and you adjust all the sensors back, and you're off on your next, job. So he learned, and he saw the money in it, and he took a chance, right? He said, all right, I think I can do this. I'm going to buy the machine. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to promote myself. I'm going to go to all these businesses around me, these body shops. I'm going to introduce myself, right? And then I'm going to start this business up, right? He took a chance, right? And guess what? He succeeded, and he's doing way better, right? He's making more money than he ever has before. He's taking more vacations than he ever. So you can't be scared of change, right? Could he have failed? Sure. Of course he could have. But that's, you can't be scared of change, right? Sometimes you got to go for it because you never know what the end result could be. It could be really great. And if it's bad, it's bad. But at least you tried, right? And the fact that he did it, I'm proud of that guy. I'm super proud of what he become. So, that's just life in general, man. So that's why when everyone was like, oh, McDermott, oh, man, he's been so good, winning. Guys, the end result never happened, which is a Super Bowl. And that's why I kept telling you guys, the time was needed years ago, in my opinion. Right? And Pagula let that shit go on for 9 seasons. You eventually have to have change. And today, here we are. Okay, it's Joe Brady. You know what? I'm a Bills fan. I'm going to have to hope for the best. I don't like it. I don't like the hiring. I like the firing of McDermott. I don't like the guy they hire so much. But at the end of the day, I'm a Bills fan. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna root for him, obviously, because I'm a team guy, right? I won a Super Bowl just as badly as everyone else here. But once again, that doesn't mean I can't have an opinion on the hire. And as of right now, as we sit today, I'm just not a fan of it, right? And I hope he proves me wrong. Bean was in no way impressive today either. Same old vague BS answers. No great new insights or vision. What feels different from a few months ago? Nothing. Unbelievable. They don't have a DC yet. Yeah. Well, you know what? Look, there are some DCs floating around there still. So I'll give them their. I'm not gonna kill them yet on that, right? Like, Jim Schwartz wants out of Cleveland, because who doesn't want out of Cleveland, right? That whole place is a fucking dumpster fire. You got the guy from Jim Leonard, a former Buffalo Bill player, actually over at Denver, right? He's a name getting floated around there. I like Raheem Morris. You guys don't bring him up enough. That would be a great addition here. I'll take Raheem Morris. I'll tell you what, my candidates, to be honest with you, in order, would be Jim Schwartz, Raheem the Dream Morris, and then Leonard, right? Those would be my top three. And I'd be happy with any one of those. But in order, like I said, Schwartz, Raheem the Dream Morris, and Jim Leonard. Hey, friend of the channel, Danger Zone, Jets podcast. Good guys over there. Tommy, are you sure that Joe Brady isn't your little brother? No. He's definitely not my little brother. Can you imagine he was? I'm just like hating on my brother. No, he's not my little brother. Brady is a type of play caller for a game manager quarterback. Not a good fit to call plays for Josh. Yeah, I just don't feel like his scheme matches well with Josh Allen, what he does best. I don't feel like he puts Josh Allen or he's putting him in an offense that best fits him, if that makes sense. It just doesn't. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. I think more younger people deserve a chance to lead. Flores was pretty good, and he's young. I agree. Listen, there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying, really, that's not even my complaint that he's young. Like, look, at the end of the day, like, if they hire Davis Webb, who's super young, I think he's like 31 or something, 30, 31, whatever, like, I would have been a little nervous because of the age and also the fact that he hasn't even been a coordinator yet. But, yeah, they're like, that wasn't the main reason was youth, right? I mean, you got to factor that in as a concern a little bit, especially when they haven't coached at a high level, right? Now, Joe Brady, to his credit, has been a coordinator twice now. So he has a little bit more experience than, let's say, a Davis Webb, who's only been a pass game coordinator, right? But yeah, I don't mind youth. I'm okay with that. You can't always hire, just these recycled coaches around the NFL. I get that. But for me, honestly, at the end of the day, I just wanted the best. I wanted the best available that was out there in my eyes. And I don't think Joe Brady was the best available out there in my eyes. And I don't think it was the best available in many Bills Mafia. I did a poll here, I think it was Monday when we went live. And Joe Brady was the least wanted coach, like, by far. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wanted Joe Brady. So, matter of fact, I didn't even put him on the fucking list. And most people were like, no, Joe, just as long as it's not Joe Brady. We had so many comments, as long as it's not Joe Brady, as long as it's not Joe Brady, as long as it's not Joe Brady. There was I think maybe we had one or two that were like, Joe Brady. Like, most people wanted Kubiak, Udinski, like, those were the top, and then Dable. Like, those were the top selections in most Bills Mafia eyes, right? But it didn't work that way. No bones. You see, like, no bones. He wanted Brady, and listen, that's fair. Brady was my first choice. I compared him to what was available and saw no upside in comparison to him. But I get it. But you heard why and I gave you reasons why I don't like Brady or I didn't like the hire. Like, I get it with you. Like, I understand that, and I respect your opinion, you know what I mean? But for me, I look back at the history of Joe Brady. Like, what has he done as OC? What changes? What has he done to make himself better as an OC? From the time he got fired in Carolina and to the time he got hired here as OC, right? Or promoted. Like, where was the changes, right? And I go back, like I said, once again to Carolina, and I go, wow, everything I've been complaining about over the last 2 years about Joe Brady is exactly what everybody, fans, what national media, what the local media was complaining about when it came to Joe Brady. So I look at that and go, right? Like, wow. I mean, same thing I'm saying. They were saying this about this guy 4 years ago. Why? Right? That's not good, right? Like, think about it this way, right? Let's say, in a relationship, right? That, they did something on me that said, well, Tommy's, the previous relationship before his last one, the guy didn't like to, he went out a lot, never was home, right? And his girlfriend got sick of it, right? And then I go to the next one and I do the same thing. I go out a lot and it's like, bro, like, I didn't change my ways, right? Like, I didn't try to better myself. This is who I am, right? Like, so is this who Joe Brady is? Or is it, do we want to blame the head coaches and go, well, Matt Rule was a bad head coach. Well, Sean McDermott wanted him, to do the offense this way. Because I don't necessarily agree with all that. And if you see in this press conference, they asked him about the screen passes. They asked him about throwing the ball deep. I didn't hear anything from Joe Brady's mouth that said, well, you know what? Like, look, man, I'm going to tweak, do some changes to the offense. I got all respect to do, all respect in the world for Sean McDermott. He wanted a certain style offense. But going forward or I'm going to, have a different outlook on how I want my offense ran now that I'm the head coach. Like something like that, where I would go, okay, okay, Joe, right? So, and he's not really throwing shade under McDermott. He was, and I've heard that before. Hey, Sean wanted it ran a certain way, and I feel like, I want it to go in a different direction this year coming up, or I want it. I have a vision for this offense that is different than what Sean McDermott's vision was, right? And you're going to see that in 2026, right? I would have maybe, got into that more if he did that, right? It's just, I don't know, man. I shout out to your friend. You'll never know exactly. You never know if you don't try. You guys want Aaron Glenn and a third. That's great. Yeah, danger zone. The Jets have their own issues with their. They got question marks with their own coach. Brady's on McAfee right now. Is he? I would go over to that with you guys, but that they'll copyright me on. So, but yeah. So I'm gonna get out of here, guys. It was fun doing this with you today. I got a recording today with Arthur Moats, and me and Aramis from Post Podium are going to his channel today to do a recording. It's not going to be live. I'll let you guys know once he posts the video, and you guys want to check that out. It's basically a Bills recap of how the season went, and I'm sure he's going to be talking about the Joe Brady hire. And that's going to be interesting as well. So I'll definitely let you know when that drops. So go over to Arthur Moat's channel and subscribe, because that's where you'll see that content. It's not going to be on my channel or Post Podium. It will be on Arthur Moat's channel. Most wanted Brady fired during this year, and now you're supposed to like him as a head coach. and still calling plays. What the fuck? Are we serious? And and that's the thing too, that I can't wait to talk to Mikey here on the podcast with you guys, because I didn't get into it too much with him. I just know that he doesn't hate the hire. He kind of likes the hire. But for me, it's like during the course of the season when me and Mikey talked about this offense and talked about the struggles that we had during the course of the season, especially against better defenses, Mikey eventually was like, man, you know what? We have to move on from Joe Brady, or Joe Brady's, he's moving on anyway, so good. He was understanding of everything that I was saying or complaining about over the last 2 seasons. He finally was like, you know what, man, I can't defend the guy anymore, right? Why are we so predictable on offense, right? At times, why are we running the ball like 84.5% of the time on first downs? That's crazy, right? Why are we running so many bubble screens, right? Especially on third and longs. Why are we throwing, at the sticks or beyond the sticks? Like, I understand that, right? Why are these route trees so lazy? Like, why aren't these receivers being schemed up better? And he started to understand, like, this is a problem, right? And then he kind of got on board where it's like, maybe he's not the guy, right? And that's what I'm talking about. Even if it's McDermott's scheme, even if this is what he wanted, you still got a guy that's in charge. As far as play calling, you got to do a better job. You got to scheme things up. You got to adjust during the course of a game. He didn't do any of that, right? I mean, I don't know if I recall many games with Josh Allen, and I'm talking about back to 2018 rookie year, where we had 0 points at the half. We did it multiple times this year. We've had games where we only scored 3, I believe, and 7, like low scoring. Even on wins, like there's no excuse for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be just known as the better second half team in the NFL. I want to be known as an offense that has Josh Allen, that we're electric, that we're we have no problem coming out the gate strong. Our offense is fluid. Like, I want a fluid offense. I'm not saying it can happen every game. It's unrealistic, but it seemed like it happened a lot less here. The offense was never fluid. Very rare. Maybe against the worst of the worst. But Joe Brady had a really, really tough time adjusting in the first half. He adjusted better in the second half. But I think he also did a very poor job understanding player strengths and weaknesses. He did not put them he didn't put them on the field. He didn't give them an opportunity to be successful on the field, right? And for me, that matters, right? Player development, right? Player development is everything, right? It's the GM's job to draft these players, to sign free agents, but especially drafting. You're getting these young guys in here. That's what you got a coaching staff for, right? That's what made Aaron Kromer so special, right? Aaron Kromer, one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. He knew how to work with guys like Osiris Torrance. He knew how to make guys like Spencer Brown better. He knew how to make the offensive line better, how to run block better, how to pass protect better, right? That's what the best do. That's why these position coaches matter a lot. But yet Joe Brady struggled with that, right? He struggled getting these guys to play better, to scheme things up, to make them successful. You guys talk about speed. We had speed. We had a bunch of guys that ran 4.3. He didn't know what to do with them. So don't tell me we didn't have speed here. We did. Elijah Moore, KJ Hamler, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir. These are all 4.3, 4.4 guys. That's not slow. That's pretty fucking fast. Yet we didn't do anything creative when it came to guys with that kind of speed. You can't teach speed. You could draw things up for them, right? You could get specific plays for them because that's what makes them special. We didn't do that here. right? He didn't do nothing with Elijah Moore. Matter of fact, Elijah Moore wound up being cut. KJ Hamler didn't even make the team. But yet Isaiah McKenzie makes the team and actually plays pretty well with his time here with Brian Dable, a guy that knew what McKenzie brought to the table. Okay, I got this guy, his speed. Right, like, this is what he does bad. This is what he does good. Let's put him in these situations, right? Let's get him on these kind of routes, right? Let's get him on some jet sweeps. Let's get him on some pop passes. Let's get him on some crossers, right? Let's do you know what I mean? Let's use his speed to our advantage. I never saw that with Joe Brady. Never. Name a guy that he took and was like, yo, right? Like, okay, man, this is what I could do. He didn't do any of that. None of our guys were used the right way, in my opinion. So it's concerning. It's concerning. Tommy knows more than Josh Allen. I definitely don't know more than Josh Allen. Josh Allen is, matter of fact, I don't know more than, listen, I don't know more than Joe Brady. Of course not. I'm not an NFL offensive coordinator. I don't know more than our Sean McDermott or anybody that's in the NFL. That's a bad take. Love Brady or hate Brady, he's our coach, and we'll continue to root for the Bills. Give him a chance before you call him horrible. Once again, I didn't call him horrible. See, so I don't know if how long you've been tuning in for. Never called him horrible. Never said that. And everyone in the chat, and maybe people in the chat said that. I didn't say that. I said I didn't like the hire. I gave you reasons why I didn't like the hire. It's an opinion, Adam. Like, you're going to go to other podcasts. They're going to love the hire. You're going to go to some podcasts that don't like the hire. You're going to go to some podcasts that are on the fence with the hire. It's just opinion based. This isn't the gospel. I'm not telling you you have to listen to what I say. I gave you the reasons why. But at no point did I go, Joe Brady fucking sucks. He's awful. He's horrible. Now, if some people in the chat says that or has that opinion about him, that's their opinion. That's their right. Right? But of course I'll be rooting for Joe Brady. He's the Buffalo Bills head coach. Why? Because I love this team. So once again, you know what I mean? That's a bad take, dude. Like, and no, I'm not going to look dumb. And by the way, if I'm wrong, who cares? You think I care? I tell this to people all the time. Why would I care? Like, for instance, Adam, like in general, are you telling me you've never had an opinion that you were wrong about in life? Forget about the Bills, right, Adam? And I'm going to stick with you for a minute. I hope you're still here. In life, you're saying that you've never had an opinion about anything. Music, food, TV show, movie, right? That you might have been wrong about. Or a person, or maybe a person you met, right? Bro, you're telling me you're batting 1,000? That you're right about every opinion you've ever had about? Of course not. And if you're like me, maybe you're not. If you're wrong on your opinion about whatever you voiced it about, you'll go, hey, I was wrong. I was wrong about that. All right? So who cares? Like, we're not supposed to be wrong. You can't be wrong in life. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, and I don't know if you're still here, but once again, dude, a little bit of it's a lazy take by you. And I'm not going to look dumb. And neither is anybody here in the chat. Right? They'll look back and go, damn, I was wrong. Shit. Joe Brady surprised me. Or maybe you're fucking wrong. How about that, Adam? I mean, that could be the case too. What if we look back 3 years from now and Joe Brady is not the guy? I'm not going to go back to you and go, oh, Adam, bro, what do you got to say now, bro? Come on, Adam, Joe Brady, what happened, bro? Like, no, it's an opinion. You got yours. You feel like Joe Brady's fine. Like, it's just opinion, bro. You know what I mean? Nobody's dumb for giving their opinion. I give my opinion. I explain why why I feel strongly about my opinion. I'm not just coming on here and be like, bro, Adam, Joe Brady fucking blows. Fucking guy sucks. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Go Bills. Like, I didn't do that. I explained why. I gave my reasons why. So, dude, don't. I tell people, like, don't be like that, bro. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest here, man. I'm not crazy about Brady, but I'm not going to continue to bash the hire for a whole week. Listen, I didn't bash him for a whole week. That's one. I've done this live podcast twice now. Once on the initial breaking news, which I'm going to explain how I feel, right, Adam? Like, I mean, once again, are you telling me in life in general, you haven't talked about something that's something that happened big, which this is a big deal, right? That the Buffalo Bills hired a new head coach. You talk about it for a few days. As a matter of fact, I'll talk about it tomorrow when we go live with Mikey because it's still fresh, right? It's still what people want to talk about. I'm not here to trying to bash this guy. I came in here. I did the breaking news when he initially got hired. I explained that I wasn't happy then. We sat here today. We did the press conference, right? We all did. I sat back. I listened, right? Then after the press conference, I explained in detail a little bit more on why I don't think it's a good hire, right? However, with that being said, I could be wrong, and this could be a great hire, and Joe Brady could be very successful as a head coach. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I don't know if Joe Brady is a guy that's going to change his ways and the things that I've talked about in the past that he has yet to do. Maybe he will. Maybe he sees this opportunity. He goes, man, I finally got the opportunity as a head coach. Maybe I need to do this a little bit differently. Maybe he is that guy. Maybe he will look in the mirror and go, hey, what can I do to be a better head coach? Or what can I do to be a better play caller? What can I do to now that I got the opportunity, what can I do better as a coach in general, right? How can I be a true leader with these guys, right? Like, I don't know yet, right? I'm only basing off things that I know about him so far, right? And I wish the best for him. Of course I do. I'll be rooting for this team because I love this team. So obviously he's part of the team. I'll be rooting for him. It's just right now, it's fresh, it's new, it's what people want to talk about. You know what I mean, Adam? Like, I'm not listen, I'm not trying, I'm not picking on you. You're coming at me, so I'm gonna respond. One thing, listen, and I don't know if you're new to the channel, one thing about me, bro, I never bite my tongue. I always respond to comments as best as I can. Even the day after, even when people comment on my videos, on my live videos, and when they rewatch it, everybody knows I'm very active in the chats, right? There's people in here that disagree with me that throughout the years of stuff that I've talked about on here, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm always gonna respect you guys and put your comments on here. And if you guys want to have that back and forth, I'll do that back and forth. Right? Until it gets to a certain point where I'm like, all right, you know what? We'll have to agree to disagree. It's right. Like, we're at like a wall, right? Like, but outside that, dude, like, I look, man, what I got to say on this platform is opinion based, man. I'm no better than the next guy, right? I do my homework. I give you my reasons. Just like national sports media, just like a sports radio does, just like every other podcast that's floating around YouTube, right? You're going to go to another podcast. You're going to go, damn, I totally agree with this guy. Or I somewhat agree. Like, that's the nature of the biz, right? And that's what I'm in. This is, I don't just do this to do this, right? I've been doing this a while, right? But I'm also a realist. We all got opinions. I'm cool with that. I totally get it. Exactly. We all hope we are wrong. Ain't nobody here wishing for the Bills' downfall. Ain't nobody wishing for Joe Brady to be the shit-ass head coach. Like, I'm not that guy. And once again, if I'm wrong, I'll eat crow. I have no problem eating crow. Matter of fact, Adam, I told people, just like I said when Sean McDermott was here, I'll put a tattoo of I heart Joe Brady if the Bills win a Super Bowl with Joe Brady. Just like I said with Sean McDermott. And you know what? I wouldn't care. Because the one thing that I would absolutely love is for the Buffalo Bills to win a Super Bowl. I've been waiting since 1989 I've been watching this team since '89, bro. You know what I mean? I've been through it all, dude. Right? Super Bowls, heartache, the ups and downs, the fucking drought years, all the different head coaches that came into this building that promised us things that never delivered. Through all the bullshit quarterbacks that we brought in here, right? I've lived through it all, dude. You know what I mean? And you know what's funny? I'm always optimistic, even when I'm not happy with the initial hire. I didn't particularly like Sean McDermott when we first hired him. I was like, I didn't want a defensive-minded head coach. I didn't even really know quite who he was. And then when I did my homework on him, I'm like, he got fired from Philly. Here's why. You know, you know what? But he was a good head coach. At the end of the day, I was kind of wrong on him, right? Because most head coaches come out, they do their pressers, they give you the same fucking bullshit press conference. You know, we want to get Buffalo a Super Bowl. They deserve a Super Bowl here in Buffalo. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same, and I get it, right? I'm very proud to be the head coach. This was the job that I wanted the most. Like, of course, these are things that they're going to tell you. Go back to any press conference of Buffalo Bills head coaches. They're all hyped up. They're all going to give you a great introduction. And yeah, so obviously, like, I stood behind every single one that we ever hired here. And most of them did not work out, if we're going to be honest, right? Most of them failed. So we'll see what happens. Hey, bro, how's your day been? Hey, it's been straight, man. I did this press conference, watch along with everybody. I've been here on here almost a little over 2 hours, 15 minutes. So Rainer just saying it's fair to judge Brady off his experience here so far. It was rocky times. Failed to score in OT in Denver. Now that same OC was given more responsibility, hard to swallow. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like that, you know, there's reasons why, Adam, that people are either on the fence with the hiring or don't like the hiring. It's just an opinion, and they're allowed to have it. Like you're allowed to say, or allowed to have your opinion, where it's like, hey, I think Brady could be an excellent coach, man. Give him a shot. There's nothing wrong with that. I agree. I'm cool with that. I get it, and I get that point. Been a diehard fan since 1970. Look at this guy. Been watching longer than me. I'll bitch till we win a Super Bowl. Or I die, whichever comes first. Yeah, man. Adam, yeah, but all you do is talk negative. That is not true. That's not true. If Josh Allen wants him to be our head coach, then who the hell are we? We're nobody. I'm a guy that runs a podcast, bro. I'm Tommy. But that doesn't mean I don't have a say. That doesn't mean I can't voice my opinion. Adam, right? Come on, Adam. Like, Adam, that once again, that's kind of what I'm going back to, right? Like, I'm not just throwing shade at Brady this whole time. I'm giving you a reason. If I just came on here and said, Adam, I don't like Joe Brady. Fuck Joe Brady. Worst hire ever. I'm out of here. Peace. Okay, you know what? That's a fair comment, right? But I didn't do that. I came here. I said, here's why I don't particularly like the hire. That's not bashing anyone. That's not negative. That's me doing a podcast and giving you the breakdown on why I feel like this is a bad hire. But that's not negative. That's everything that you ever come across in life, not just sports, right? You watch the news and politics. They're going to give you a reason on why maybe they don't like Trump, or why they do like Trump, or why they agree with this, or why they don't agree with that, or it's like that, right? And they're going to give you a breakdown on why. They're not just, I would hope so, right? And that's what I try to do here, man. I'm not here just bashing somebody. And I also, matter of fact, I said I'm a diehard Bills fan. I'll get behind. I have no other choice but to get behind the hire. I want success for Joe Brady. Of course I do, right? But I got to tell you why I feel at the same time where I don't know if this is a great hire. Listen, I can't predict the future. I have no idea how Joe Brady will be as a head coach. We'll find out. You know what, Adam? We're going to find out together We all are. You know what I mean? All of us are. Right? And you know what's funny, Adam? Like, when teams hire coaches in general, like just teams around the NFL, and these coaches don't work out, I promise you, you can go back and look at comments from when they that team hired specific coaches, and people were like, love the hire, hate the hire, this is why I love it. Bro, everyone's going to have their opinion on it. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they don't know. We don't know. You know what I mean? We don't know if it's going to work out. I mean, Miami Dolphins got, what's his name, 1 year? Nick Saban. You don't think fans were probably all on board with like, oh, Nick Saban. Right? That failed as a flop. So those fans idiots for thinking, you know what I'm saying? Like, or fans that were not so hyped up about a coach, and he did not work out. It happens. These are just people looking at things going, what do I like about Brady? What I don't like about Brady? And the thing about Brady, Adam, is if we all know him pretty well by now. He's been on this team since 2022. He's been the offensive coordinator for 2 years. So a lot of fans are familiar with his play calling. A lot of fans are familiar with Joe Brady just as a coach, as an OC, right? We've seen press conferences already from him. So it's not like we're just blinded by it. And then in my case, I do homework. I look back. I say, at LSU, this is what he did. This is what he did wrong. This is what he did bad. This is when he went to Carolina. This is what he did right. This is what he did wrong. There's some good to Joe Brady, no doubt about it. But for me, there's a lot more bad than good. And that's my concern. And it's okay to have concerns, man. There's nothing wrong with not being concerned, right? How did Tommy talk negative? All he said was he doesn't like the hire. A lot of people don't like either. Exactly. It's not negative. It's just voicing an opinion on why. Josh, just like McDermott did a good job with the trash roster we had on defense, Brady did a good job with their trash we had on offense. Give the guy a chance. And again, Josh wanted him to be our head coach. I don't care. Okay, let's start with the Josh thing. First of all, I respect Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. Ain't nobody backs Josh Allen more than me. Trust me. I defend Josh Allen to the day I die. And I everyone who knows me knows that I'm pro Josh Allen. Since the day he was drafted, there were motherfuckers out there wanting Josh fucking Rosen, right? I was saying Josh Allen, right? There was people booing the pick. So I respect Josh, love Josh. I think we want to be here without Josh as far as being a team that's a playoff contender, a playoff team, a Super Bowl caliber, team year in, year out. If it wasn't for Josh Allen. So, of course, I respect what he has to say. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not his team, right? I respect what he wants. I get it. His opinion matters. But at the end of the day, the GM and the owner have to do what's right for the team, not just one player. I think I think Josh definitely has a say, and he's allowed to have a say. I think he should. But it shouldn't be the ultimate say. And it's not, and I'm not going to be like, well, if Josh approved it, I'm on board no matter what. No matter what Josh says. You know what I mean? I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be that. I don't think one particular player should have that much pull, and we should always go, if Josh likes it, I like it no matter what. Yes, yes, yes. Like, it doesn't work that way. And it shouldn't work that way with the GM and the owner. You can't do it like that. You have to do what's best for the team. Now, back to your other comments about McDermott. Yes, he did a good job. But Adam, and I've talked about this for years, and so did Mikey, my co-host. McDermott had more pull than you think here. McDermott had full control of the 53. McDermott had just as much say, or maybe even more, than Brandon Beane on the draft. Everybody knows that. Everybody. Okay? Brandon Beane got players or with McDermott that fit McDermott's scheme. These are all players that fit into his scheme. Okay? Everybody knows McDermott wanted lighter players. He didn't want a one tech. He wanted lighter on the line, so he wanted a faster defense. Lighter on linebackers. That's why he made converted safeties to linebackers. Did it all the time. Right? This is what McDermott wanted. Right? He was the chef. Beane went out and got the recipes. Right? He got the ingredients, that is. It's still up to the coach to develop talent. Right? And McDermott, I feel like he did a very good job with the corners, with DBs, with the safety room. He was really good with that. He developed those players really good. I'm not going to knock McDermott on everything. Thought McDermott was a good coach. The problem with McDermott, and the main problem I had was, I don't think he was a Super Bowl caliber head coach. And the goal here is to win a Super Bowl. There's nothing more. There should be nothing. It's not about being a good team. It's not about being a playoff team. It's about being a Super Bowl caliber team, winning a Super Bowl. That should be your end result. Period. Right? And was it a trash roster? Do you really think it was? I don't think it was year after year. You really think that 2020 was a trash roster, 2021 was a trash roster, 2022 was a trash roster? I don't think so. Was it Brandon Beane's fault on the 13-second game? Did Brandon Beane go out there somehow, some way, and tell Sean McDermott to not get with a special teams coach, or to tell a special teams coach to kick it out of the end zone instead of squib kick it, to take time out? No, he didn't. He had nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. And all the other times in the playoffs where defenses let this team down. Mind you, this is a defensive-minded head coach, right? With a defense that has let us down more than anything. We've had some team losses, no doubt. I thought the Denver game was a team loss. I thought the Cincinnati Bengals was a team loss. I thought 2020 was a team loss. But outside of that, I thought it was all defensive collapses. So once again, I credit McDermott. I give him props. He did a good job here. But we needed to take the next step forward. Is Joe Brady the guy that takes to make that leap? I don't know. We will find out. I just didn't like the hire. And there's nothing wrong with that. I explain why. Right? And I could be wrong. We'll find out. Problem today with people is, if your opinion doesn't match that they get offended. People today are so weak. It's funny. Ravens fan, how you doing, brother? So agree. My brother is a diehard Bills fan. He hates this hire too, Tommy. Yeah. And once again, I want to tell people, I'm not bashing Joe Brady. This isn't a bash Brady episode. I don't hate anyone. Like, I really don't. Like, the only people I hate is if people that are like animal abusers. Like, yeah, you abuse an animal, I hate you. Or, or you hurt children, right? Outside of that, I don't have hate. I don't hate Joe Brady, right? Maybe Joe Brady, I could be wrong on this opinion as well. Maybe Joe Brady winds up being a very good NFL head coach, and I'm totally wrong. And I don't care. I told people, bro, people are funny. Like, oh, you'll look back at this, and I'll remind you about this. Okay, great. Why do you think I care if you come back at me and we win a Super Bowl with Joe Brady? You're like, aha, Tommy, you're a fucking idiot. And I would say, yep, I'm the idiot. Thank fucking God the Bills won a Super Bowl. I was wrong. Fucking Joe Brady. Woo! I was totally... Who cares? What about the people that wanted Josh Rosen over Josh Allen? Of course, to this day, I'm sure people are like, bro, what were you thinking? But they own up to it now. Of course they do. You have to. And that's okay. What do you think? They care? You know what they're saying? Damn, I was wrong. Thank fucking God I was wrong about Josh Rosen. Right? About Josh Allen, and thank God that we drafted Josh Allen instead of Josh Rosen. Like, of course they are. And you don't think they care? Of course they don't care. I hated Sammy Hagar taking David Lee Ross' place. I was wrong. He rocked with Van Halen. Exactly. It's okay. We all got different opinions. You defended Josh Allen like he's your own son. I always do. I do. Yeah, dude, for many years, and I still am not a big fan because I'm just big on that stuff. When it comes to animals, man, they don't have, they don't have that say. They can't speak up, right, and say I'm being, this is what's happening, right? Like, I feel terrible when it comes to animal abuse. So there's no, I don't like it. I don't like anyone. I don't think there's any excuse for it. I don't care where you grew up or, if it was a cultural thing, whatever the fuck your excuse may be. For me, look, man, you do what's right. You do the right thing. You be a kind person to animals. Like, I don't know. That's a whole different subject, guys. We're going down a whole different alley, but I'm big into that, man. I would probably go to prison if somebody hurt my dog. Like, I'd probably, or even hurt an animal. If I saw somebody hurt an animal, like, I don't know it'd be a bad day for that person. It'd be a really bad day. But yeah. See here, Vic was a great quarterback, but yeah, exactly. And there's people out there like that. Look, O.J. Simpson, you know what I mean? Right? I don't know if you guys saw, but what's his name came out. TMZ reported that I guess Bill Cosby admitted that he, I guess on cross exam or whatever, I guess it's out now, like the report or whatever, that he did indeed put these roofies or whatever they were in these ladies' drinks. So great comedian, Dr. Huxtable, right? But he admitted to it, and you can't do that. There is some, especially in Hollywood, right? In Hollywood, there's a lot of funky shit going on in Hollywood with these people, and it seems like it's transitioning over to music now, where there's a lot of weird stuff going on with Hollywood and music, and but that's a whole different subject. Anyways, guys, it's been fun. I've been on here 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm sorry if because I don't think Adam's here anymore, or people that I may have offended, I guess, stating an opinion. It's not negative. This podcast isn't a negative podcast. I don't want this podcast to be seen as that. My podcast is down the middle, man. I look at everything, I try to step back. I try to look at everything as a whole, right? That's how I look at life in general, right? There's always a reason why. It's not always just like one particular reason. There's always something to it that created usually what happened, right? Like, that's how I see it, right? Like, putting the pieces together, in a puzzle, right? There's always something for that for why that happened. Always. There's always more to the story, or more to whatever. And that's why when I try to evaluate, or I try to look at, when I'm talking about the Buffalo Bills or Sean McDermott, or Joe Brady or Josh Allen, or our receivers, I don't just dive into this guy's at fault. He's the only reason. It's all on him. There's nobody else at fault. Like, it's all just point the finger. It's not that simple. Like, I don't believe in that, right? And sometimes you gotta step back. You gotta look at everything, right, and go, okay. Here's the whole picture here. Like, how do we get to this point, right? Why are the receivers this bad? Why can't they get separation, right? Is he really this bad, right? Or is it a combination of play calling and scheme? Or is it a combination of Sean McDermott wanting a certain style offense that Joe Brady can't, that Joe Brady's uncomfortable with? Or maybe Joe Brady agreed to something that he thought he could do, but maybe he's not comfortable with, and maybe he could do something different, but Sean McDermott's maybe holding him back, or maybe Joe Brady's just not really good at scheming things up for these receivers. Or maybe Joe Brady's not good at evaluating talent. Or maybe he is, and he's being held back. Like, There's so much to it, and you got to piece these things together, right? Or the players. Are the players just not that good? Like, and then you got to come down to the decision you're going to say, the opinion you're going to make, right? And that's what I do. That's what I do here, right? And if I'm wrong, I'll let you know I'm wrong, right? And if I'm right, you know what? Then I'm right. I'm not going to go back and be like, aha, I fucking told you. I told you I was right. I'm not going to do that, right? If I'm right, then I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you guys straight up. I don't need anyone going, ha, 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 you're an idiot. You were wrong. No. I'm just going to say, I'm going to be brutally honest like I always am here. We got a super chat coming in, man. Appreciate your super chat. Let's go ahead and hit that train horn real quick. Man, Randy, thank you so much. Thanks for another great podcast today. Stay safe. Tell Mikey hello. Go Bills. Thank you so much, Randy. Appreciate all the love and support you've showed throughout the years, man. Everything Bill Cosby did was all consensual. I didn't dive totally into it, Christy. I just know that the report came out that under cross, that's what he said. So for me, consensual and not consensual, if you're putting shit, and once again, I'll speak on this too. I wasn't there, right? I wasn't in the room, right? Where I have no idea if it's consensual or not consensual. It's kind of like going back to when I defended our punter or old punter, Matt Ariza, right? The punt guy, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, like, how can this guy, is this guy, messing around with younger girls and I can't believe the GR, y'all. I'm not going to say it because I think YouTube will demonetize me, but he's guilty. He was there and underage drinking and blah, blah. And look, man, once again, step back, right? Look at the big picture, right? Okay. He's a young kid. He's 20 and I think 19, 20 at the time. He's at a college party with college kids, right? Guys, like we all were young at one point. We all at one point went to college parties or high school party. Dude, I was underage drinking when I was, and still in high school, throwing parties when my mom went out of town. Come on. And you think I ever, when I went to a college party, you think any of these guys are going, IDs, like, bro, stop. If you're attending a party, and unless you look super duper young, no college kid's going to be like, girl, I need that ID. That's one. Okay, so stop with the whole, that's the other thing. I hate guys, bro, sicko. Like, you don't know that. You're not anyone going to a college party, they assume are probably college or late high school. And even if she said she was, by the way, she said she was like 19, 20 or whatever she said. But even if, let's say she's 18, he's 19, or even if she's 17 and 19, that's not that far off. 17, 19 look alike age-wise. So I thought that was fucked up by people. And then he never got they dropped the charges back then. And then it came out that she lied, right? Took 2 years away from this guy in the NFL. Lost his job. So sometimes people got to wait and wait at least to see everything, right? Wait for the evidence and then react. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Got to go. Yeah, you be good. I got to go too. So I'm out of here. Christy, appreciate you rocking with me. Appreciate everyone rocking with me today. It was a fun time. I will be back tomorrow night, Friday Night Lights at 8:30. So thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. As always, go Bills. Peace.
Just let your soul go. Just let it shine through. Just let your soul, baby, feel it.